You guys down to listen to the interview with Mod Rice, who's working on Raids 4? Maybe we'll get some news. Let's run it.
Well, like, who on earth thought this would be a good idea? That was me. Theatre of Blood is like widely beloved. Identifying why that is. Am I allowed to talk about that?
Yeah, you are.
I am on Raids 4, and it's very cool.
Oh shit.
Hello everyone and welcome to the official Old School RuneScape podcast where we get to chat shit with JMods and creators alike. I'm Mod Aiza.
And I'm Mod Sween, and this is our chance to get to know the person behind the crown, hear their stories and hear their experiences. And today we've got a very special JMod guest.
It's me, Mod Rice.
Hello,
Welcome, Mod
Mod
Rice.
Thank you.
How's it
Thanks
going?
for having me. It's good. Yeah. I'm doing a lot of cool things in life right now. So,
Mod Rice hype?
yeah, I couldn't be happier, really.
Okay, we'll ask more about the cool things shortly.
Thank you for the raid.
First, I know a lot of people have seen you on the summit, some summit videos, and maybe some summit panels and stuff. Probably bumped into you at RuneFest, but for everybody else, who is Mod Rice? What do you do at Jagex?
Right. I am a systems designer. What that means is I spend a lot of time thinking about how sort of gameplay loops integrate into the player journey. So like stuff like drop tables is like core stuff. So how long is a person going to spend at this boss on average before they like get a drop that's worthwhile? And looking at it from different perspectives of different players who play different ways, and trying to make a solution that works for everyone. Outside of that, that's sort of my specialization. I do some narrative stuff. I wrote a lot of like the dialogue for Yammer with supervision from
cool.
Mod Ed. Also, just do like bosses. I make bosses, so I worked a little bit on Yammer. That was mostly Mod.
Guys, if I was ever a mod, this is what I would do. I would do boss design and encounter design. I think that's what I'm most interested in. I think this is a super cool job.
Okay, but I had a couple of things. That Bowtie Attack was me. I worked on Perilous Moons, the leagues, the last leagues we did. I did the like Echo Hungleth. Was a well received one.
Was the only Echo boss I didn't try actually.
Really?
Yeah, out of them all. I know, I'm really sorry about that.
That's fine. I didn't do the Dagonoth Kings. That was Mod Halo, and he did a really good job with them, better than I think I would have done. But I do think, if I recall correctly, I pitched the idea of what if they played volleyball with their prayers, where they like throw the ball to each other, and that like disables their prayers. That was like the spark that started it. So yeah. That is most of what I do. Bosses, balancing, and occasional bits of narrative.
So hopefully you've not just put a target on your back now for that one Iron Man that's gone dry for the particular drop.
Well,
I've heard
they're already in the chat. I can see.
There's been a lot of positivity about drop tables and how they feel a lot better than they have in the past. And
that's what we're going for. I'm very proud of what we did for Yammer. The Oathplate smithing stuff, how it integrates skilling with PVM. And also is not like...
Take it easy on him, guys.
It's not like sort of gamified dry protection. It's like actual sort of world integrated dry protection where you get a certain amount of shards and sort of you can watch them build up over time. And when you're on your 700th kill and you still haven't gotten a drop, you at least see that number climb up. And I'm like, okay, I'm 20 shards away from just being able to smith it. So it feels like, God, I'm making some progress. Because it's so demotivating when you're dry. It's like, 17,000th kill and I don't have the drop. I'm right where I was on the first kill. So stuff like that is, I think, contributing, and then just generally being better about crafting drop tables in the first place.
So how do you feel about dry protection overall? Because I know it's a bit contentious within the community. Some people really for it, some people are dead set against it, and then
guys, dry protection, I feel like most people are against it. Anytime I bring up dry protection, people riot. So I think that even though it can be miserable to go dry protection is a worse option. That's my consensus on it.
Then there's those that are in the middle.
So I think variety is the spice of life here. And like there are times when you shouldn't be protected against dryness because you know what? Having to tough it out and push through, that's literally like part of OSRS's DNA.
Yeah,
it's also life.
It is.
Yeah. And it's valuable.
Life lessons.
Sounds silly to say, but like before when I was at uni, I did a free-to-play smithing grind where I just got gold from the crafting guild and smelted it in Falador, and I did like somewhere in the realm of 32k gold, and that was
Are you okay?
It was mind-numbing, grueling. But when I came out the other side,
Holy
I thought to
cow.
myself, I could do anything now.
Alucard, thank you for the 2
I
months.
could do anything. And it actually motivated me
Punch
to
Yo
like,
Buns, thank you
be
very
more
much.
perseverant.
Really enjoy the
So I
content,
think
keep it up.
Actually,
Thank you,
having
Buns.
those moments where you have to push
Slaypex
through
with
those,
the primer.
those
Yo,
difficult
thank you.
grinds is part of the experience.
I agree. I do agree, and that's the sentiment I share as well. But I have heard some players say, "Well, life sucks. I want an escape from having to persevere and personally grind, and I want to just have fun."
That's true. So that's where the variety comes in. I think you should be able to go some places where it's like, like Yama, where okay, I might go dry, but it's virtually impossible for me to not get this by the 1,000th kill. I'm always going to have it. And that's all about like, you visualize it as like curves, right? Like the amount of people going dry sort of decreases like that.
What exactly does he mean by it's virtually impossible on Yama with 1,000 kills? Does that mean you're at like 1,000, you're at like a 99% drop chance? Or it has Oath Plate shards. Okay, I haven't got into Oath Plate shards yet. I'm not really sure what that is. Anonymous Gifter, thank you for that gift sub. Okay, I guess we'll learn more about shards once we start farming YAM.
That with a normal drop table. We want to create curves that sort of maybe look a little bit more like that and then just fall off at a certain point. And that's what dry protection does. So a way to think about it is like we want as many different looking curves as you can have. So there's a curve that's right for you.
So you're mainly looking at drop tables from stuff we're newly implementing.
Yeah, well, I did do. I was involved in the summer sweep. It wasn't just me. We look at it as a team. But I was part of the conversation around looking at old drop tables. I think that's harder though because we have to treat the history of the game with a lot of respect. It's a lot easier to do crazy new things with new content. It's like, oh, what if we did a system where you like could smith it after killing it a certain amount of times, and it was like pseudo dry protection. It was like, if we did that for something like God Wars, it'd be like changing something that so many people experienced and changing the journey that so many people have been through. It's tougher. It's not to say we should never do it, but it has to be treated with a lot more respect.
Totally. I was looking at it more in the lens of Zulrah, post like old school post Zulrah, and it's just seeds and runes and essence and
alcohol.
Gosh, there you go.
We love money. Yeah, every boss had to be better than bigger than 3 million hours because that was the baseline set.
Yeah.
That was a horrible time to actually have to deal with. I'm glad that we're a bit past that now. But it was even I think as recent as like go back 4 years ago, people were still saying, oh well, this doesn't sound good enough because the GP per hour sucks.
I mean,
so they had to design bosses that were close to 3 million GP an hour because Zulrah, everyone was just farming Zulrah and no one was doing anything else.
I think people's attitudes have changed, and that's cool to see. And it's because, in a way, I think because players are such a like core part of our design process. But it's my belief that we sort of need to bring them into our sort of vision for the future. And I think we have a great community that has the ability to sort of like see what we're going for and go like, okay, well, in the short term, that means less GP for me. But in the long term, we see the vision. And I think in a way, our community have sort of become game designers by like extension, or at least the ones who actively engage with us on like social media platforms.
Yeah, I'm basically a game designer.
24/7, but when they log on
True.
to, vote in a poll, they are going through those processes. And I think the natural sort of conclusion of that is that they've become their opinions have become more nuanced and they see things with a lot more perspective than they used to. So it's cool to see, definitely.
I definitely agree with that. I feel like we get a lot better feedback than we used to, a lot more constructive. And I would also agree in the sense that they've came along that journey with us. I think as a team, we've also improved the way that we communicate back to the players and the information that we share, how we bring that back to you as designers, and then share that ultimately back with them. So it's nice that we've all kind of like came on this journey together and we are where we are now. So how do you deal with feedback when it comes to a project that you're working on? You see it just as much as part of the community, but everyone is there reading it, getting involved, and if you're not, we're telling you what they're saying. And sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad.
Yeah, it's tough because like especially because I was spoiled, because my first project was Perilous Moons. And the response to that was fantastic. People have issues with the Blood Moon.
Amazing.
It's just it's the only place where Barrows is good in the game anymore, and I really don't want to see Barrow die. So when I saw all that feedback, I was like, completely over the moon. Such an overwhelming feeling of like, I made something that people are like genuinely taking joy in doing. I say I made thing, you know, a lot of it is art and sound, and the other designers giving feedback, and we've got stakeholders like, there's a lot of people involved in making it, but something that I like put so much into, so many people are like enjoying, it's such a great feeling. Contrasted with like
Parallel moves are the best thing, bro. It's literally such a needed thing for
this guy's
Iron Man.
dog shit and has no idea what he's doing, which isn't literally what they
Although I still skip Barrows, so Barrows is still dog shit ass. Okay, I'm just saying, I totally skipped it.
say, but that's what you feel like. Yeah, it's like I'll be candid and give an example. I'll you know, put myself into the fire here.
I was going to ask one, so please do.
So the first major one I remember was Tormented Demon drop table on release.
Okay.
People were like, who on earth thought this would be a good idea? That was me. Which is not a great look for me, but hey, we live, we learn. I haven't made the same mistake since. And it turns out that it was really silly that I'd like tried to be so stingy with the drop table.
Okay.
Because we looked at the like GP per hour, and like 80-90% of it at the time was coming from tormented synapses. And they were like, on release, they were something like 9 mil an hour, which is like crazy for a random sort of pseudo slayer monster that you kill after a quest. It's not really a boss.
Like boss and raid territory.
Yeah. It was like, this is a good activity for money. Why are people so mad? But the answer is that the rest of the drop table was trash. And when you weren't getting a synapse, you were sad. And all it took was upping the GP per hour by like 10k when you weren't getting,
Tormented
like
Demons,
a fraction of a percentage point of the overall GP per hour.
We're gonna synapse
rune plate body instead of an adamant plate body.
Yeah.
Some dragon arrows over here, and people were like, "Yeah, this is great now."
Prediction
like,
going
wow,
up.
I did nothing. I did basically nothing, and everybody likes it now. And it just goes to show that a lot of it is about feeling, and there's no reason to be like overly stingy. I don't think, you know, we can't fill every drop table with infinite alcohols, but we shouldn't be stingy about like normal loot either. We can afford to give it out.
That's understandable. I think it makes a lot of sense as well, though, right? Because if you're at the point of doing something like Tormented Demons, you know how easy it is to get rune arrows, right?
Yeah.
So why would you ever want to get an adamant arrow drop over a rune arrow drop? You're not going to use the adamant arrow ever.
Yeah.
No,
Right?
you never.
It's going to sit in your bank. It's a drop you leave on the floor. Most people even probably leave the rune arrows.
Yeah.
But there is something foundational to that feeling of like, it has some level of worth. Even if I'm never going to use them, I'll pick them up still. Because they could be
your
useful.
point about Yama and seeing the number grow even when you're going dry on a drop, and like the dragon arrows stack growing in your loot tab.
People have got that little loot tab exactly open on the side of Runelight, and they're seeing that go up of all the things that they could have picked up that they probably didn't. And it's like, oh yeah, cool. I made 50 mil doing Tormented Demons.
The flip side of that is that most of what we can put on drop tables is random resources. And so every time we do that, every time we lean on it, it detracts from those resources. So it's like a balancing game. And you know, we don't always get it right, but the hope is that we get better at doing it every time that we do it.
Nice. Well, it's also another reason why there's I wouldn't say a focus, that's too much of a strong point towards it, but there's definitely more attention towards items that require some resource to charge them, right? Because that can help offset alcohols, skilling resources in terms of GP, but then we also know that the players aren't too fond of it.
Players don't like Chargescape.
No,
Chargescape,
it is our
no.
single most valuable tool but it's not even charges, it's things that deplete.
Yeah.
And that's why we sort of experiment with stuff like, Yama was, again, we had a lot of wacky ideas, and maybe we shouldn't have tested them all at the same time, but it worked out. So, you know, whatever. Diabolic worms were like, okay, this is like a consumable resource. It rather than dropping the fish, let's drop
Current
something
KC
that
825.
allows you to get the fish quicker, so that this item.
My current KC is 825. If you think I will get a synapse in the next 50 Tormented Demons, you can bet your points. Right now, we have a gamble live.
Like, doesn't devalue anglerfish fishing directly. What it does is it sort of siphons some of the value. But if nobody uses the diabolic worms, like, it requires people to go out and do fishing. If nobody uses the diabolic worms, then they become really cheap, which means that they have almost no impact on like the cost of doing anglerfishing. But they speed it up, so people get more anglerfish, can sell quicker. And it basically creates these like economic equilibriums where there is a healthy relationship between killing Yama and fishing anglerfish. If everybody's killing yama, no one's fishing anglerfish becomes more profitable slightly. If everybody's fishing anglerfish and no one's killing yama, then using diabolic worms becomes expensive and it's not worth it anymore. So it creates sort of like balanced economies, people doing a variety of things.
Which I guess works for a lot of items like angler, because you're always going to want to overeat. But when you're looking at introducing other stuff like normal food, and your only way about like recreating an output for normal food with things like chip damage and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So then it just cascades down into, all right, well, here's another system that players don't necessarily love, but it's quite important for the health of the economy.
Yeah.
But we're getting creative, and I think we're finding ways around it. But one of the things that
Yeah, what's your opinion on ChargeScape? W, L. If it's an L, how can they make it a W if you think it's an L? It's okay a little, but it's too much. Depends. Kind of the I seems like a step in the right direction. It's an L if you're an iron. Sucks for irons. That's what I was kind of thinking myself, is that for an iron, ChargeScape really sucks. And the only it wouldn't suck if you were able to obtain as much gold as a main does for the same amount of work. But you get far less gold than a main. It's like insane how much less gold you get than mains do. So ChargeScape becomes so much more of a chore. Like playing an iron in a way becomes it becomes sort of more of a punishment than it needs to, and with the amount of gold that you get when you're comparing it to what the mains get. But that's the biggest pain point from my iron experience, is I love the validation that I've earned all of my items and that none of them were purchased from the GE. That's my favorite thing about iron. And my least favorite thing about iron is how much easier it is for a main to maintain ChargeScape. I think that's my favorite and least favorite thing. So I don't know if there's something that they could do to help out irons in that department, but it seems like anytime you try to help an iron, it ends up breaking main. So I don't think that there's anything you can do. I think it's just something you have to tolerate. Iron shops shouldn't work the same way as main shops. It would make Shopscape much more. ChargeScape needs to be a thing. Games should not be balanced around irons. True, iron is kind of an added game mode. So that's why I feel like you can't really do anything about it. At least I can't think of a way to fix it without making items that irons get untradeable if they swap to main. That's the only solution I can think of, is if you change anything about the iron economy, you have to make all items from D-iron players untradeable. And that's a nightmare to code, probably. Iron shops can be separate from main shops. It would not make it affect the game as much. The issue is with the de-ironing. You could balance irons a bit better economic-wise if irons could never de-iron. But since they can, it creates a problem where you can no longer balance the game around. You can't balance at all for iron because irons could de-iron and break the system. So it's a tough problem to try to solve, but I just don't think there's a solution.
Yama did as well was Oathplate shards. Effectively, they siphoned some some of the
if
GP
they remove
the
iron, then
to the Oathplate itself. So
we
the
could
big ticket drop is
fix
the
a lot
Oathplate.
more, balance a lot more stuff on iron.
All of the money of Yama being concentrated in that singular drop, it pulls it out, some of it out into this like fragment of a piece of Oathplate. And so what that does is it like sort of, it doesn't change the GP per hour. It just evens out the curve of like all the spikes in your GP per hour.
Also, drop trading to mains is also another issue. That's why the drop rates could never be different. Rune stuff could never be different. I mean, you would have to literally account bind. You would have to account bind every item that an iron picks up would have to be account bound. You have to take away drop trading to mains, and you'd have to take away, maybe you wouldn't have to take away D-iron if you account bound every single item that an iron got. But then that's a nightmare to code. Individual items, like I don't even know how you do that.
Or from when you get a unique to when you get these temporary drops. So those are the sorts of
As I say,
things that we're exploring.
You think of one solution to a problem, you create 10 more. And that's when you realize that like it's better just the way that it is right now.
Feel good without like negatively impacting things like the skilling economy, which is in dire straits thanks to things like Zulrah.
Then what if you PK an iron? Exactly. So then you
Hot take,
kill
I
iron
will say,
PKs.
Zulrah killing flax picking, not a bad thing. Like, who wants to sit there and pick flax?
No, I don't want to do that, but I look at my time in the flax fields as formative. Again, talking to what we mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
There was something nice about forestry, has a lot of bolts to it.
Yeah.
But at least...
Would it break the game if irons used one less blood rune on their scythe hits or something like that? What would break the game if they did something like that? If it used one less like soul rune or something, I don't know. Maybe that's just an idea I could think of to make Chargescape a little bit easier for Iron Man, but I don't know if it would have any negative impacts.
Bring Sears Village to life on one level at least.
Such a good feeling.
So I love Sears Village. That's where I was going with the whole flax thing, which is like Sears Village.
You're
is
just
nice.
stuck in nostalgia, mate.
Yeah.
Dude, I am.
Yeah, young you liked picking flax because it meant that you could
Scar
buy
Mine's
a
a thing?
amulet, right? That's why you like picking flax. Go to do pick flax now, you'll hate it.
And then I'd sell it for a loss, and I'd be like, I need to go pick my flax to buy it again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was stuck in that loop.
I think you've actually got a point, because when you walked through Sears Village as a kid, you'd see people chopping maples, people picking flax, maybe some other things. I forget what else you can do in Sears
Tons
Village.
of fletching in the bank.
Yeah.
Tons of fletching in the
It
back.
was the,
Very
so it
light
was the fletching
Yeah,
place to
when
go.
you walked through Sears Village, you were like, this is a lively town.
Yeah.
There's the flax pickers, there's the woodcutters, right?
Now it's a ghost town.
Yeah, as we've optimized the game, the game hasn't even like fundamentally changed that much in terms of Sears Village, but as players have sort of optimized how to play the game, we've introduced more teleports. People spend less time in those spaces, and so yeah, you don't see people just hanging out doing a thing. Everyone's like doing a specific activity in the middle of nowhere that is like the most optimal place to do it. So yeah, I think there's things we could do to bring that back. Like, I joked about flax picking being dead. The solution there is, as you say, like forestry sort of brought a place back to life. Maybe there's more things we can do to make it so that towns or the areas where people congregate.
Let iron suffer, problem solved. I actually think that is the solution to any topics that we've discussed in the past. That's always the solution. Is just, who gives a damn? Let it be hard for irons. They chose Iron Man. And for the most part, I agree. I think that is the right decision.
Which tend to be like banks. So that those places feel sort of more alive and there's more people doing things. Yeah.
One day a month, the Grand Exchange is closed. Everyone has to come together to trade like they did back in the old days. Sears Village becomes the place for logs, unstrung bows, bowstrings. Falador, massive marketplace. Varrock for your potions and your rares. Love it. Actually, to be fair, Falador was also used in that way too.
It was that way once upon a time and it was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was.
Trading markets do close overnight. So
yeah, the Grand Exchange has got to be reset. They've got to take all the tax money and figure out how they're paying the bankers. We'll real worldify Gillinor even more.
I was talking with somebody earlier about how it's really unrealistic. You can buy a house for 10k, so we should switch over to a rental system where to keep your POH, you actually have to pay gold on a monthly basis.
It's actually really affordable.
Rental
buying a house
system.
in Gillinor when you think about it.
Yeah, remarkably so.
simpler when you've got like a pocket dimension where you can just build infinite
It
houses
helps, yeah. I think it helps.
We're missing a trick in the real world here. There's something to it.
It also
In the real
helps that
world.
every single individual is capable of becoming a master house builder. Because I don't know about you, but I don't know how to like build walls and sinks.
This guy is the go-to for our friendship group.
Property
I'm
tax?
Hey, Aiza, here's a very simple task. I don't know how to do it. Can I video
You know
call?
what game
And
had
then you
property tax and stuff, and you had to like upkeep your house? It was New World. New World was a lot like that, and you had to, if you didn't pay, then your house just got deleted, or you couldn't zone into it anymore until you paid.
showed me how to do it. So he knows.
Well, like,
he knows.
true.
Do you know
He built a cabin recently.
Whoa.
Very cool.
Really?
Yeah, I did actually.
Can you like plug in a washing machine as well?
I can do that.
Wow.
Yeah.
God,
I did
it's
actually
got
put
it
my
all.
washing machine and dishwasher in when I moved into the house.
But earlier in the group
No.
chat, he was talking about like the MOT and how he's just fixing up, does a lot of the car stuff himself, which is, I think, something we should all aspire towards.
Oh, I mean,
have no
that's
idea how to do.
definitely more my dad. I am so far detached from cars. I grew up with cars my entire life, so it's one of those things that I'm kind of like, I don't want to say out of spite because it's not out of spite, but I think that it was like so much in my life that I just don't want anything to do with them. But I do know how to do some things. I know though that my parents may end up watching this podcast back and they'll call me out for being a bullshitter if I said that I would do it myself, because I will definitely my dad for my car. But, you say about everyone in Gilnor being a master house crafter.
Yeah.
If you put 1,000 hours into figuring something out, you'd become a master at it too.
Yeah.
So we just choose the easier route, which is to do it in the virtual world rather than the real one.
I think it helps that mastering it in the virtual world involves like clicking your left mouse button a whole bunch of times.
And not physical activity.
Yeah.
Although you are a
Physical
master of
activity,
some things.
Resources.
I've heard and seen that you're a master of the sword.
I wouldn't call myself a master.
I've seen
but
the
I
video.
think I beat the average person.
Yeah, you would definitely chop me to pieces. I
Here's
wouldn't stand
the
a
segue
chance.
then. What does Mod Rice do outside of Jagex?
Yeah. Right now, I spend a lot of time dealing with conveyances, which is not fun for anybody who's not in the UK. That means like basically you're not allowed to talk to other people that you're buying a house from. So you have to talk to your lawyer so they can talk to their lawyers. And maybe there's like 2 or 3 people in that process. So there's like 2 or 3 chains of lawyers, and you don't like, you just have to wait. And they're all super busy. So it takes like months to get a
Weird,
response
actually,
for
isn't
anything.
it? The only time you ever speak to the person that you're buying the house from is if you happen to be lucky enough to meet them the day that you walk around and see the house.
Yeah.
Even then, sometimes it's an estate agent.
It's very strange.
That's
so
how it
I
is in
do a
the
lot-
UK. Now that I think about it, when I bought my first place, I never met the owner either in America. I never met the owner because all you have to do is go to the lawyer office and sign the papers at the closing. And sometimes they're there at the same time as you, but like you could miss them by like a few, like they just schedule it. But yeah, it's not really important to meet the person you're buying the house from.
A lot of that. But my hobbies include swinging swords. I'm a HEMA enthusiast. And I like watching a little bit of harness fecting.
What?
So harness fecting's the like armored version of what most people consider HEMA. So HEMA's historical European martial arts, which is about like how people used to kill each other with swords.
Okay.
And while not wearing armor generally, because obviously most of the people writing these books, they did a lot of fencing, but they didn't do a lot of killing each other because then they wouldn't be able to write. Wouldn't be able to write the books. And harness fecting is the version with armor on, so people spar, but with big metal plates on that make it, make a lot of the blows. So one example is like in HEMA, you aim for shallow targets, like the hand and forearm a lot, because you don't want to expose yourself. But a hit to the hand or the forearm in harness fecting doesn't count for anything because you're covered in armor. So
Right.
yeah, you have to like sort of get in. It's a lot of wrestling and trying to slide a thin thing through the chinks in the plate armor. Don't do that. I don't own a set of plate armor, sadly. I only own a sword. Hopefully soon more than one sword. But yeah, I watch it a lot.
That's
It's
sick.
fun.
How'd you get into that?
So a lot of it was like years of watching people do it on YouTube and thinking, that's insane. Like the fact that people are doing this is crazy.
How did you get into that? Was it just algorithm and you're like, these dudes are hitting each other with swords. That's kind of cool. I'm going to watch more.
I think, so I'll tell you, I think I can trace it back. I'm starting to remember.
Okay.
So I like fantasy a lot, as you might expect, someone who plays and develops old school RuneScape. And so I have, I interact a lot with like how you might like write fantasy, for example, effectively. And one topic that comes up in that is like realism or if you want it, believability. And if you want to know about believability, then you've got to know about how things work in real life. And so I started like engaging with the topic of like, okay, how does...
Guys, I'm a big fan of realism in movies. My favorite movie is, one of my favorites is Lord of the Rings, because it's based on a true story.
Because there's like myths, like, if the sword's sharp enough, it can cut through plate armor. No, never. It's never been the truth. Anti-armor weapons are not about like piercing the armor. They're about getting in between the armor. So maybe you do have magic weapons in your setting that can do those things, but it's important to understand the rules so you know when to break them. And so as I was doing that, I encountered people who knew what they were talking about, which are generally people who do HEMA. And then I watched them sparring and I was like, oh my God, they're like real life swords people. Then I just like watched it for fun for ages. And eventually I decided I'm going to get my own and start doing it myself.
That's actually cool. But I'm so lost, Rice, in that the video that I've seen you practicing your sword play, like, it is phenomenal. That is a big sword, and those are some powerful moves. If you were sparring with someone against that, that's death.
Yes, no, I would not spar with. So what I have is a two-handed sword. You can argue about what to call it. It looks similar to what some historical montantes look like, which are swords that were made in Spain. But to be honest with you, around the time that two-handed swords were in vogue, a lot of Europe had like good communication networks, and so most swords, two-handed swords, converged on the same designs. And back then, they didn't distinguish, like we call things like an estoc and a rapier and a Zweihander, but back in the day they just had big swords, small swords, side swords. You know, it wasn't important. They didn't quite. That's more of a modern thing. So yeah, what I have, you can't really swing at a person because it'll kill them. So that's for solo drilling.
Why am I dead?
But I am investing in some feathers, which are like basically swords that have very thin blades but a lot of weight at the base, so they weigh similar amounts to real swords, but when you hit someone with them they don't hurt as much, and some protective equipment so I can do some sparring.
That is fascinating. And now that makes a lot more sense, because I just had this image in my head where you were like, a hit to the hand or the arm doesn't really count. I'm like, no, that would break your arm if you hit me with that sword.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. So a lot of people think that plate armor is about like blocking stabs, which it is. But it actually, the doming shape and the rigidity of the steel, one of the things it does really effectively is deflecting force. So when you hit into like a plate body, a lot of because it slips, a lot of the force just sort of goes off.
Okay.
So, historically in video games, bludgeoning damage is what you use against plated opponents. As a matter of fact, that's not like super historically validated. The way that you kill someone in plate armor is you get them on the ground and then you shove a dagger in their armpit. You wouldn't really use any sort of weapon, slashing, piercing, or crushing to try and...
This guy's swords. All right. If we ever go back...
Damn.
No, don't apologize. I love it. I love the passion for it. It's like I'm just thinking to myself, if I'm ever in a situation where modern weaponry is no longer a thing, you're going to be on my team straight away.
Yeah, maybe.
I'll build the wall that to hide behind that you'll jump out of with the sword.
That sounds good. Yeah.
Maybe like 20 years time probably.
Yeah, and Sween, you can carry all of the material because you're just like an absolute beast.
Right.
Yeah,
you can be our pack
that works for me.
I'm a mule.
Yeah,
okay.
You'll be our Hodor.
You mentioned obviously you work on old school, and I think as you were talking about the HEMA and stuff, and why you're into it, because you're into fantasy, you play old school a lot too. What are your kind of experiences with old school?
I used to play a lot more old school than I do now. And I don't think that's because I've gone off the game. It is legitimately because like so much of my job is like hit the compile button, boot up the server, boot up the client, test the boss for 30 seconds, go back to the code, make a tweak, compile, repeat. And so I end up spending like a good 20% of my day just like playtesting my own content. And when I get home, the last thing I want to do is do more old school RuneScape. So I have played a lot less recently, I have played my account a lot less recently.
Sure. Yo, I felt this way about cameras and like recording things and taking pictures on my phone. Like I never wanted to pull out my phone and take a picture because I would take thousands of pictures for my job, like weddings, corporate stuff, or like I would always be doing video. And it was like, it made me like hate social media. It made me like hate having to take a picture ever. Like I never really wanted to like take a picture anymore because I had to do that all day at my job all the time. So like it just made me kind of rebel against it for a long time. And for a while I didn't even go on social media because that's all I was doing too. In the past was like I wanted to make like comedy skits and stuff like that. And so all I would ever do is try to make videos for social media and edit. And then it became my whole life to like take pictures, take video, edit. And so I just kind of hated doing that after a while. It was my passion. And then I just didn't like doing it because I did it so much. They like kind of burned me out of my passion. I'm really glad that I haven't hit that wall yet since I became a full-time video gamer. About 2.5 years now. I've been streaming for 2.5 years, and I've been streaming pretty much every day, and I haven't gotten tired of it. And so I hope that point never comes.
So I guess I've lost connection with the progression. But as far as like the game goes, I feel like I've never played more of it because all I do all day is like test my own stuff. But yeah, in terms of like my history with the game, I played it when I was a kid.
Yep.
Loved it then. I shared accounts with my friends because I was useless on my own.
Did you steal anything from them?
No, actually, I was really good because
That's good.
all I wanted to see was the levels go up. And so I thought to myself, if there's more people playing, the levels will go up more. But they always seem to like, I was always like, this time we'll do it. We'll get past, this amount. Never did. Because everyone just got sick of it around the same area. So yeah, I played it when I was a kid. And then my return to old school RuneScape was thanks to this small indie creator, Settled. He made this series about just one region. I don't know if you've heard
Shout
of
out
it,
Settled.
Mauritania.
I know Mauritania.
Okay.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
Swampletics.
Yeah,
Not
so
sure where
he
you're going
just,
with this though.
Well, he did some stuff in there, and I started watching. I was like, "Oh, this game exists. That's pretty cool." But that was the end of it. And I followed the series, and he was building up to the Theatre of Blood and like showing it off, and I was like, "Wow, holy shit! This game has like proper sort of exciting looking stuff, like modern MMOs." And I used to like this game. What's more, it appeals to a part of me that many games don't appeal to, which is that I really dislike the idea that someone has to specialize. There's value
What camera do you use? I use Sony A7 IVs. That's what my webcam is right now.
in specializing, but the idea that once I become a master swordsman, I then can't learn magic, I hate that. It's so limiting. Like, yes, doing more things takes more time, but you can do them. And old school RuneScape lets you do that. It lets you be a master smith, a master swordsman, a master magician. You can do all of the things. And so, it appeals to me in that core way. It's got all this exciting stuff. Maybe I'll give it another go. This Iron Man mode sounds kind of fun. So I made a free-to-play Iron Man because I was broke. And I did a lot of goldsmithing because I love smithing. I've smithed in real life because I think I maybe love smithing as much as I do swinging swords. So I was like, I'm gonna get 99 smithing in free to play. That didn't happen. It's way too much.
It's too much.
Was this the same account you did the 32k gold on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I
Makes
hit
sense
like
now.
around 80 or something, but I didn't make it to 99.
In free to play.
Yeah, because you don't have the goldsmith gauntlet, so you get like half the XP. It's insane.
Oof.
You're not getting drops. Like nothing's dropping gold in like abandon like that.
No, I was mining every single piece of gold, and you know what? I enjoyed it.
Sweet, man.
And then at some point I decided what I'm doing is insane. I think a friend,
Masochist.
I think a friend pointed out to me the goldsmith gauntlets thing around like the 27k mark.
Yeah.
And I was like, Jesus, I could like get the same amount of XP I just grinded by
Did it never like dawn on you that maybe if you just spent half the time that you were mining the gold just picking up coins off the floor, you could afford a month of membership?
It's possible.
No, man.
Yeah, I couldn't have done it. I could have made a main.
No. I mean, in real life, go around, pick coins up off the floor.
Oh, I see.
Buy
In
membership
real
to
life.
get the goldsmith gauntlets, cut the grind down by half, and then save all of that time.
But yeah, then I upgraded to an Iron Man and I started like doing, your regular game progression. You do a bunch of quests, you get into PVM. I feel like my first major interaction with like what we would call modern PVM was the Gauntlet, particularly the Crystal Hunluf fight is, I think, a lot of people sort of don't like the grind, and I think some of that has to do with the like preamble where you have to like get all the materials and stuff like that. I actually think the Hunluf fight like still holds up today. I think it's really, really fun.
CG?
The evidence of that is we did it in leagues and we took out the middle bit and you just like go in and you fight the Hunluf.
Yeah.
People loved it. So yeah, I think Hunluf's great. And it sort of taught me a lot of the mechanics of the game that I needed to know.
Oh,
And then,
yeah.
I've progressed from there. I'm the owner of a Tumican's Shadow. I did get super lucky, so my account isn't that end game, but I do own one, and I've done like most PVM in the game a little bit. Though not any of the new stuff actually. I haven't done any Yama. I haven't done a single Yama kill. I think I killed like 2 tormented demons.
Oh, you have? You did it on video.
Right,
didn't you?
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I
You
did it here,
right
not
here.
on my account. So my account doesn't have a single Yama kill, but
What?
I have many. And killed a few tormented demons, but I couldn't after playing them so much.
I want to take the time to quickly plug a video that did not get anywhere near as many views as it should have done, which is
Lockery, thank you for the prime.
As Yama, accompanied by Mod Rice and Mod Arcane.
It was, yeah.
So it was good. It was good.
People listening
Guys, confirm the devs don't play the game. Confirmed.
or watching this should then go and find that and give it a watch
Yeah,
afterwards.
I mean, in essence, it's basically a podcast around Yama and the boss, and I'm being overly miserable and direct on purpose, and you guys are trying your best to just keep it
A lot
real.
of the questions you ask are about being in my house,
Yeah.
which worrying. A little bit worrying.
You wouldn't want me as a red demon in your house? Why not?
The devs
Yeah,
quit
no, I'm
OSRS.
concerned that you keep suggesting hypotheticals where that is the
God.
I've
case.
still got the outfit. Like, if you want to make it happen, maybe the next
God.
time you bring a D&D session,
Yo,
you
Grad
need
Spurred?
to have some actual...
Yeah, I can bring you in to play the NPC.
Yeah.
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 That'd
That
be
sounds
great.
fun.
You should
Yeah.
walk your party through, like, and you approach, or like, there's a knocking at the door. What
Yeah.
do you do? And if there's someone
And
says
then
answer
suddenly-
it, and there
Yeah.
he is. It's Yama.
Yeah,
It's
and
me.
now it's happening in real
Yeah.
life. Yeah.
So-
I hand them the sword.
So you kind of discovered Old School a fair few years after it had been out. So
Yeah.
I think Swampletics was 2018 onwards, perhaps around that kind of time.
I think it was a bit even
Even
more
later.
recent than that. So like technically later.
Okay,
Because I don't think Swamp
I don't know
was
how
around
I'm
when I
dying
was
so much.
before I'd left Jagex.
fair enough. But that kind
But
of time,
anyway,
anyways.
yeah. Maybe early 2020, something like that.
Yeah. I'm a pretty late fan, but I will say I think I am ultimately more than just a fan of the modern game. I think there's like something actually special, what I call like the DNA of old school RuneScape, like the formula that we're locked into now, because we have one of our like, you know, one of the core things we do is we respect the history of the game. We ask ourselves the question, what does old school RuneScape look like in 5 years? Not how do we turn old school RuneScape into the kind of MMO that people like
Yeah.
over the course of 5 years. That like
Blobs blow up? Okay.
is a really important part, because I actually think the original formula, while not like refined to the point that it is now, the game I do think is way better now. But
Oh, yeah.
what the original formula was going for is actually really, really cool. Like I remember, I always tell this story. It's the reason, like, sometimes I think it's the reason I'm making games, which is awesome. The earliest memory I have of wanting to create anything was on Tutorial Island. I remember making my first bronze dagger and going, I can't believe I just made a weapon and that I can equip. And I used to stab things. Of course, immediately you get told to unequip it and equip the sword. Yeah. I think I actually re-equipped the dagger and killed the rat with the dagger because I wanted to use the thing that I just made.
He's looking at Varnica like, no, bro. I
Dude,
made this.
what the hell are you talking about? I call it like the Tutorial Island promise, where it like promises you this like world of like you're gonna get to do so many things.
Sure.
And that's that's like a core part of the DNA of the game. And even as we've gotten like further away from it and we've developed the game more, like I'm a fan of everything new that we've made, but I believe that like being an old school RuneScape fan is like
Getting Void post Inferno is wild. Am I the only one in here grinding this with an Inferno cape on? I just noticed that. Is that something you're supposed to do before Inferno? Well, my bad.
a part of me. Like even if I discovered it 5 years earlier or 5 years later, I still would have been a fan because there's something at the core of the thing that I just love.
I wasn't saying you weren't a fan.
No.
Where I was going with it before you made me question Swampletics.
Yeah.
Release date in my mind was, what were you doing? What were you playing before you stumbled upon Settled?
I was at university, which meant I was developing a lot of games.
What did you study?
Games programming.
Okay.
Yeah, so a little bit of programming. And I ended up doing a lot of game design because we had like an integrated course where we worked side by side with artists and designers, but my team ended up not having a designer for the first 2 years. And I just was like, cool, yeah, I'll do this. I
sweet.
love that for me. I made a game about smithing, which I attached to my application to Jagex, and it came up in the interview. So there's some chance that actually helped. There's a lot of fun stories about my interview with Jagex because like I also got to put my total level at the top of my like application.
Nice.
And I got asked about it, which means that it contributed to me getting the job, which means my parents telling me that playing video games was never going to get me a job may have actually been legitimately false, like provably so.
That was so totally wrong.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It would have helped for sure.
Yeah, it did help. You know, I wouldn't have been able to put 2,100 total level.
I mean, at that point, all you had to do was show that you were a competent person. You probably would have just been given the job.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
You know, 2100. Yep, can listen to instructions. Also knows game development. Is really into fantasy. Is great at putting together. Oh, you were an easy pickup.
Thank you.
It was the easiest hire I think they'd ever had.
But yeah, before then, the games I played,
Has
played
a
lot
big
of League of
sword.
Legends, and then
Loves showing it off.
Yeah, then after that, I played a lot.
Knows how
of
to
Dota
kill
2.
people.
I like to think, in retrospect, I love
Solid
both games,
resume.
though I will never play them again.
A MOBA's like a dead genre to you now entirely.
He's in.
You know what? I'm going to go even further than that, and this might sort of put some people off of me, but I actually think my desire to like defeat other people is dead.
It's just gone.
It's just gone. Like when I think about it, it happened. I play board games sometimes, and I think, God, I really just don't want to beat my friends. Like I'll sandbag and just lose. Not like hard, but it's not.
I don't know if it to be like really sad or find it really admirable.
I find it admirable. I'm picturing like from some kind of isekai anime, like you stumble upon like the sword master he's a pacifist. He doesn't do that stuff.
Guys, I do this too. And it's crazy that when people make fun of me because I die in PvP, they think it's because I'm bad. I just don't like for others to feel inferior to me. And really, I just lose all the time in PvP because what's the point? If you have to make someone else feel bad so that you can win, are you really winning? You know what I mean? And that's why I never really decided to like win any PvP battles that I've been in.
He's like Uncle Iroh.
He doesn't want to do it. Okay.
I still like,
And like
killing
Alec
monsters.
Sween over here, this guy's feral. He wants to win it by any means.
That's untrue.
That is not untrue. I saw you throwing 50 stones in a row.
Stop it. Yeah. No.
This man was adamant that he was going to get this stone into a certain position. I'm not going to go into too much detail.
That's fine, cool.
Wow.
As soon as he got anywhere close, you should have seen the ferality in his eyes. He was so ecstatic.
All right, we were at the seaside on the weekend. It was lovely. I was throwing stones, and there was a seagull very far away. So far away, I knew I could not possibly reach it. I couldn't reach it. Impossible. If I could, everyone would go, "Whoa! I should be in the Olympics." Or something like that. So I was throwing towards that direction.
You're dooming yourself, mate.
And I'll stop there. I did not hit the seagull. I want to clarify that before I move on anyway.
He did not hit the seagull.
Did not hit the seagull.
He did not. I'm not convinced.
They're
he
very
wasn't trying
competitive when it comes to like real world sports.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Then yeah.
And to be clear, I love competition. I love that people work so hard. Like people would not be what they are if they weren't competing for something. Like seeing people at the pinnacle of their sports. I don't particularly like beating the shit out of people, but when I watch two people who have like really trained to do it as well as they possibly can, I think, there's value in that.
When you said I don't particularly like beating the shit out of people, I was almost like
you do often.
It was almost like, but I do it anyway.
I'm talking about like martial arts and stuff.
Mother Ice on a Friday night. If you sell us down, stay away.
I don't like this. I don't like that I'm having to do this.
I'm sorry.
But I mean that, like, I admire competition so much that when I just think anyone trying to be the best that they can be at something and being pushed by other people to be even better is like a really cool human social dynamic. And I wouldn't trade it for the world. But nowadays, I don't really have the like fire in me to do that. So I think more of what I do, more of what I like is challenging myself against myself, which real like sports also like, people at the pinnacle of their sport also do that on a daily basis.
I prefer PVM.
It's just that I like to not involve the other people. So after all of that, I moved on to, I think the most sort of like core game to my gaming experience is Dark Souls and the FromSoft games that ensued.
Yeah.
Dark Souls 1 was like, it sort of, I think was the thing that made
I never
me
played
think,
Dark
like,
Souls game ever.
I want to take like game design more
Not
seriously.
1 second.
I played
any
loads
Dark
of games
Souls
and they're
game.
all great, but like
Or
this
Elden
is
Ring.
like blowing my mind. Like there's something like genuinely special about this where I want to be good enough to replicate this. And I don't think that I am right now. I think part of me thought to myself, every game I've played up until now, I get it. And, I could probably crack one of those out. Dead wrong about that. Total Dunning-Kruger syndrome. But Dark Souls was the first one where I was like, this is so amazing that I don't think I could do this. And so I want to get better and I want to do it. And played Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3, played Bloodborne, played Sekiro, decided Sekiro's combat system is like the most amazing thing ever. I can't believe that they one-up themselves again. Here I am trying to like beat... I remember I wrote this 19-page design document in college, like how I would do Dark Souls combat better. And I had some of the right ideas, I'll give myself credit, but then Sekiro came out. And I was like, wow, they just literally made it better in every way and avoided all the pitfalls that I did. They're geniuses. And then Elden Ring came out, and I'm not going to lie, I was disappointed that it wasn't still there. I played through it all, enjoyed it, but I was so disappointed.
Lost some part of charm for you.
They were trying to do something different, and I think they succeeded in doing that. They created like this massive, expansive, accessible,
Was Sekiro better than Dark Souls?
explorable world as opposed to like
Anybody
the really
played both?
carefully crafted. narrative
100%.
world you're thinking of.
Yeah, because even in Sekiro, you don't have armor sets, you don't have weapons.
Mm-hmm.
You have the tools, but like everything is very linear and curated. So that's why I'm very specific about saying I think Sekiro's combat system is like the best
Depends
I've
who
ever
you
played.
ask. Okay.
Because it's worse than other games. It's funny, I joked with a friend that Sekiro was better than Dark Souls 1. Elden Ring was
You guys know what combat I really like is Black Desert Online. I played that game for like a day. I could not leave the dueling arena. It was the most fun I've ever had dueling in any MMO, like any game. It was so good. And the movement in the game is everyone has crazy movement abilities, and like you're playing a fighting game inside of an MMO, and you still kind of stay true to your character class. I played the Awakened Dracthir or something. Oh, Dracania. Awakened Dracania. Oh my god, that class is so sick.
was better than Sekiro, but Dark Souls 1's better than Elden Ring.
Okay.
And there's this like circular relationship where every time I try and rate one above the other, I end up like going, yeah, well, this did this better. And so yeah, I think they each have their own strengths, but I'm totally in love with the Sekiro combat.
Never played Terra.
I played a lot of video games, but yeah, none of them come to mind. When I was a kid, when I was really young, I played the Hercules game. That was like super cool. I love Hercules. I think
the side scroller.
it was,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay, I do
Yeah, it
remember
was
it.
dead hard.
Yeah.
Super hard.
All the Disney games were. I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
some
were.
of them are like ludicrous. I remember seeing them on like Games Done Quick.
Yeah,
Like people are saying you try and beat this game normally, you were never going to be able to.
insane.
Yeah,
So these were just established studios full of people who like playing difficult games, who are then they'd won the right to develop the IP.
This
They're
guy
like,
over
okay,
here is
we'll
not
make
doing.
a
He
game
didn't
that
even
we
leave
wanna
the
play.
boat.
you imagine that young kid.
He's
really
just
into
fletching.
Disney, feels great, never gets past the first level.
But if you push through, it's something else. I mean, I'll tell another story about my early gaming days. My mother bought me some maths games because she wanted me to be good at maths, and that turned out to be a good idea because I really liked video games and I would put up with the maths for them. And I did my year 2 maths. It was like 2+, and then I finished it, and I knew there was another video game because I'd seen the box. So I was like, "Mum, can I have the next one?" And she's like, "No, that's for when you're older," because it was like a 6+ one or something. I was like, "Oh well, I want it now." Anyway, she eventually buckled, put the CD in, didn't know what the hell was going on. Like, what the hell are these maths? And so I started crying, and I was like, I need help. And so my mother helped me through that level. And it was like, fine, okay. She left. Second level, no idea what's going on. And so I cried again. And she was like, right, I'm putting this away. And I was like, no, you can't put it away. I really want to beat it. She was like, well, if you want to beat it, you're going to do it by yourself. I'm not going to help
You
you.
have to learn.
And so I cried the whole way through it, but I beat the game. I don't remember beating it, but apparently I beat the game.
There was a lesson
Just
there.
tears
Yeah.
streaming. Congratulations
Yeah.
on the screen. You're like, oh.
Wait, that sounds a lot like Showbeck.
I also beat Hercules because I really just wanted
He
to play
just
video
cries
games.
until he beats it.
And it turns out that was enough to motivate me to take on challenges that I shouldn't really be taking on as a 4-year-old child.
So you mentioned like design docs, how you'd improve like from software game combat and stuff like that. What are your longer term ambitions in the games? Is it at Jagex? Is it old school? What would you like to do here? Elsewhere? What do you want to make? All
Okay,
that.
I'll give 2 answers to that question. The first is I think there's old school RuneScape has like so much room to be like an even better game. And it is already pretty amazing. It's my belief that it's the best MMO in the world. But it can be even better. So I want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Within that, my deepest ambition, not one that I would like, because I don't know really whether the community is like ready for it. I know some people are really, really psyched for it, but maybe needs a bit more time. But I would love to be involved in some sort of attempt to revitalize smithing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sort of like try to plant the seeds of what it might look like with Yammer, with the oath plate smithing. That was like an idea of like, and I'm not saying all of smithing needs to look this way. It's more of like, look at the potential that smithing has. Like, more of it could look like this. We could have more variety.
Sure.
And so I'd love to do that. I'd love to work on a big, I've worked on a fair few PVM projects at this point, but I'd love to work on like a big scale. I've never done a raid, and that would be cool to do.
Are you on Raids 4?
Am I allowed to talk about that?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, you are.
I am on Raids 4, and it's very cool
Yeah.
to be on Raids 4.
No, let's say don't talk about theming, narrative, probably not about any of the rewards that we're thinking of just yet.
Yeah.
Maybe some of the things that are leading some of the decision making we can get into.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But other than that-
like how you bodied Goblin in playtesting the other day.
I did actually. Yeah. He tried very hard to rag me, but I got him back.
I was seeing the attempts over his shoulder. It was like, suddenly, I'm like, you're not playing it the same way that you were before. And I realized now why.
So but that's within old school RuneScape.
Yeah.
Outside of old school RuneScape,
Do they have any god gamers like No Monkey Bodhi level people testing the content at are any of the devs like insane at the game? Mod Nox? Okay, that's dope.
I used to do.
So they just
game
call
jams,
Mod Nox in when they
and I
want like
to do
a
more game
Giga
jams,
gamer to test out
because
the content.
I think they don't like sap my creativity. They build it up. And it's a shame that I haven't made like a small scale game in quite a while. It's tiring making games. And, I do it 5 days a week. It's hard to get the energy to do it even more.
And
but
you're spending other time talking to
Mod Nox
conveyancers,
playtested
they
Doom.
sap energy.
Sick.
oh my God.
I have a contact for someone who runs one of the largest game jam events.
Really?
I can get you in touch with.
Yeah. I mean, it's less of a, I'm sure I could
There were a lot of streamers that playtested Doom, I think, as well, and they weren't allowed to talk about it. I do remember hearing that because I feel like some streamers kind of already knew what was going on, but I don't think they were allowed to go for world first or something like that if they playtested. I don't know how they did that. They couldn't do the content until the first Delve 8 clear. Got it.
participate if I put my mind to it. It's just more about finding the time and the energy.
Yeah.
I did actually do a game jam with some creators a while ago. We made a little thing. And it was fun. It was really fun. Unfortunately, it was also really tiring for me. And so I haven't really done it since. But I'd love to, oh my God, I'm forgetting his name. The guy who runs Chunky Null, who does the Chunky Null series.
Josh isn't.
Yes, Josh isn't.
Okay.
He does game development. I'd love to do a game jam with him.
Josh
'Cause I
isn't
think as
gaming.
well, it's like,
That guy.
he makes videos. I
He's
haven't
on
seen
GG.
his games, but I can see that he's like a hyper creative person and he's really good at like polishing. And so that makes me think he's probably really fun to work with on a game jam type thing. So that's outside. But yeah, let's go back to inside and like
Should we react to his series sometime? I don't know.
race
I don't know what
stuff.
series he
Cool.
does.
Let's do it.
What series did you
in
do?
terms of like what's driving the decision making, there's a lot of conversation about how Theatre of Blood is like widely beloved and
It's the best
identifying
raid.
Chunky Yanel.
identifying why that is.
No skill in rooms.
Hyun.
No skilling rooms, that's part
Think
of
of
it.
the tier 1.
Probably.
Great bosses.
Though listen, not to throw any shade at anyone, but I think there hasn't been a good skilling room yet because I haven't made a skilling room yet.
There's no such thing, Ross.
No, not for this raid, but maybe down the line.
Maybe do a skilling
Okay.
skilling focused raid. Sure.
Yeah.
If I'm going in to PVM, I want a PVM.
I'll pitch you this though. You've done Yammer?
I
Yes.
have to, no.
No. Okay.
No.
You've done Yammer? No. Okay.
I've been playing a Baby Little Lion Man. I'm so far.
Oh,
on
okay,
the-
cool.
my main.
I've seen people do Yammer.
Okay, that's good. Presumably you've seen people do
I
Yammer.
have indeed, yeah.
You see the little hopscotch
Yeah.
minigame,
Yeah.
right? That is actually a skilling room in disguise, I would say.
Touche. Yeah.
And-
fair point. Okay,
Guess
take
who-
it back.
guess
You
who
can
made
make it work.
Guess who made it?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know you made it work. I remember talking to you about how satisfying it was watching you jump over and being able to tick with it.
I've seen some of your
mage.
skilling pictures in game jams we've done internally as well.
Yeah. I think we've come a long way. But anyway, not for this raid.
Sure.
We're probably not doing it for this raid. Because we're trying to identify, okay, Tob did really well. The game variety is good, but we could afford to do another Tob. And a lot of that right now is along the lines of, one of the things we talk about a lot is like, Akka could have been the final boss of a raid, especially at like release. Like so much stuff going on, so many mechanics. It's more about like looking at something like Maiden, where there are like spikes in intensity, but you spend a lot of time just whacking the boss. Feels pretty good. And so looking at like, okay, rather than view every boss as a monolith, because that's how we develop them, right? We sit down, we make a boss. We don't like sit down and make a raid because that's too large of a task to even like conceptualize. And so we end up playtesting the boss and going like, oh, it doesn't have enough. And we keep adding and adding and adding. And then you insert it into the middle of the raid. And by the time people get to it, they're knackered and they have no interest
I was
in
just going to say
engaging.
that one of the problems with TOA, even if you were to take out the skilling of puzzle rooms, is that it's an exhausting raid.
Yeah.
You have to focus on it so much. Like, yeah, sure, there are people that don't have to, but for the vast majority of players, it requires so much attention to not mess up, to do the raid properly. I only want to do 2 runs and I'm done.
Yeah.
I can't bring my brain to want to do more after.
Is what you're getting at then with Tob.
Because TOA is kind of a long raid,
Yeah,
right?
there's like a base level of kind of comfortable gaming you can get through. But then if you want to optimize for speeds, you can then incorporate different things as well. So there's like no one way to solve. You have to solve every mechanic in Tob. If you don't solve every mechanic, you'll probably wipe. Where in Tob, you can just casual friend raid. You can go speeds. And is that what you're getting at with this?
That's definitely the goal.
It wouldn't really take anything away from TOA for me if it didn't have those puzzle rooms. Like if you just went in and did the boss fight, I wouldn't mind that.
Well, there is another layer to it, which is basically that we want like really simple interaction. So you look at something like Zarpus, phase 2. Only thing it does is shoot goo at where you're standing.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all it does. It's not rocket science. There's no like, I've got to like swap 6
I also don't really care for the puzzle rooms in Cox either. If it was just like you do like 2-3 mini bosses and then you get to actually fight the boss at the end, it would lower the time and people would enjoy the experience a bit more overall. It would be I would be interested. I would be interested to see if that was put into a poll, like if it would pass. That one I don't know if that one would pass or not.
ways into this thing, switch prayers into that thing. Like you're literally just whacking the boss while it shoots goop at where you're standing, and it's really fun. Yeah. And so looking at okay, how
people
do we
love Cox
design, or rather than designing complex fights, design or complex mechanics, design simple mechanics that give rise to complex interactions.
Yes.
And a lot of that has to do. We realized one of the things is like
I wouldn't mind. If they make the raids faster, they obviously have to make the loot a little bit more rare. You have to compensate for it. So as long as it takes the same amount of time, I think that for the most part, loot is done an average amount of time. Like they calculate the time that it takes to clear a place. They calculate the strength of the item, and then they do the boss kill KC based on how long it takes to clear the raid on average, kind of a thing. And so they would have to adjust it if the raids were a bit quicker.
It's easier to do this when players have to melee because it forces so much more interesting movement. We don't want to pigeonhole ourselves into just doing melee, but it's like things that come up. It's like if somebody has to position in a certain way, you don't need to like throw 17 billion different prayer switches at them. Mm-hmm. You can just like have an interesting fight that is all about thinking like, okay, where am I going to stand next? Yeah. This is another thing. We're actually talked this internally about the team, or internally within the team, because a lot of us are Dark Souls fans, FromSoft fans, and so there's this notion in Dark Souls that like everything must be readable. Like you must be able to, it must be theoretically possible to walk into this boss and do a 0-hit run the first time. First of all, that's not really like, it's not really realistic because nobody is actually doing that. So, yeah. But it's theoretically possible. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of us come at it from the same angle. But actually, a lot of the like funnest stuff in old school RuneScape, like Zola is a fight that still holds up to this day, and it's so old. And ain't nobody beating that shit on the first try. Like, who knows where the poison pools are going? Nobody. It's impossible.
I remember release, people said it was too hard.
Yeah.
Admittedly, the gear was worse, but yeah.
And look at
I definitely did not beat Zora on my first try.
No one being able to finish it, but it has emerged into like a really beloved piece of content. So I say recently, I try and push a little bit. I think most mechanics should.
I was also doing Zora with full mage gear. I did it with Twin Flame, and I didn't even have Blue Moon. I did it with Mystic gear and Twin Flame.
Be readable, especially ones that have like high impact. But one of the things, for
no
example,
switch,
I remember pushing for early on was Soul Heredit. First time you walk into Soul Heredit, you don't know the patterns. Mm-hmm. You have to have seen them somewhere else. And if it's release day, you haven't. And so you're going to get hit. And it was like, there were people saying like, well, can't we just put some shadows on the ground to let people know? It's like, well, we could, but I don't actually think that's, it's good to do that some places, but I don't actually think that's old school RuneScape. I think some bits of old school RuneScape,
getting void, I got a synapse.
You just kind of need to learn it by doing it. And you go in, you get smacked, maybe you die, and then you come back in. I'm not saying we should do that everywhere, but I do think that Tob, for example, does that in some places. Like there are some mechanics that you just, like until you've been hit by them, you just don't know how to engage with them. Yeah. and that ends up creating a more interesting dynamic. So it's not like we're going to be out here trying to like gotcha with every single time. It's like, aha,
Doom.
you got one shot, die, bitch.
Doom and TOB.
It's more about like respecting that old school RuneScape is.
Guys, we are so close for TOB. We're going to have Elite Void hopefully by tomorrow. And then all we need is 4 more Slayer levels to get Trident and Whip. And we're going to be TOB ready.
Not Dark Souls. And by extension, it's not part
We're going
of
to be doing Doom
Souls,
and TOB by next week.
Sphere of influence entirely. It crosses over, but every single modern game is like iterating on what FromSoft
Don't need Trident to get Eye from
like,
Doom.
Sort of the way
True.
to go. And that's good, but we should take the bits that serve us and not try not to become entirely, the Souls-like formula.
That's really cool. I'm really glad you kind of like touched on that actually, because old school has never been a game that like holds your hand all the way through. You get guided in some ways, but I'm also like kind of sick and tired of games that literally guide you every step of the way. Like I want to be able to have the freedom to be able to choose something, and the problem that I have is that when a game tells me to go do something, if I'm not doing that, I feel like I'm being inefficient or I'm not playing the game the right way. And even though it's in my own mentals and I could just ignore that, I can't. It's there and I'm like, I shouldn't be doing this now. So I'm just going to go back to doing the main story because it tells me that I should be. Whereas the games that don't have that, I love it. And not to say that, every game is the same. And I know that, FromSoft games don't hold your hand all the way through it. But yeah, I like that we don't. I like that we're a little bit against the grain in that aspect. And granted, we need to give a bit more guidance to people when they first join the world. That could do with some improvements.
Well, you got great ideas around that, I feel. You were talking to me about the spider web.
Yeah, how like the entire game.
Am I making money from pest control? I have 27K right now. Guys, we're getting rich in here.
This like beautiful network of like requirements, either for quests or for skilling methods or for like and putting together like how you're going to traverse the spider web is like a unique way. One of the things we talked about when Yama was releasing is how like you could probably now like go a very different route to what you did before by going like tormented demons into Yama as your vehicle into the end game. Like that's one way to traverse the spider web. There's a bunch of other requirements there with AKD and Gothic Sleeps and stuff like that.
Pest control is what I do when I kill Sard and TOA. Okay, Triumphant.
But that's like the bit that appeals so much. I think we recapture that in leagues where like everyone has to reassess the spider web with these new relics that sort of like warp it slightly.
Triumphant, I got it.
But in the early game, you arrive in Lumbridge and it's like, cool, there's like Cook's Assistant.
I'm going to be a doomer pretty soon.
Restless Ghost, all of these quests.
Chat, any doomers? Any doomers?
None of them have any requirements that sort of relate to each other. So you're just dropped into this thing that looks nothing like what is arguably the coolest part of the game.
Yep.
Why? Why? So I feel like, and we can't just arbitrarily change old things.
Can't do Yama yet. Can't do Yama till second synapse. Yama, you need Emberlight. I want Emberlight first.
That old.
Yeah.
Probably can't touch Cook's Assistant. But I think to myself, what if there was a quest in Lumbridge that had a level 10 prayer requirement so that you were like, and maybe it was like a really cool looking quest and you'd be like, oh, actually, I want to do that. And if I do Restless Ghost,
you get the prayer.
I'll get level 10 prayer.
Yeah.
And that's when it clicks. And that's how you're moving through the game.
And when you were talking to us about
There's no hope for me.
Cool. I loved it. I was like, oh, cool. It's not about changing the early game, making it easier or making it more accessible.
Guys, how does Triumphant have like 200 KC without a single armor seed? It's pretty insane. Wait, 300. 274 CGs. Yeah, I was 5 armor seeds, pet, and like 3 or 4 regular weapon seeds at that point. Jagex took all my luck. It's crazy that you got Bofa at 17 though. I'm at, what's mine? I'm at 9 armor seeds right now at 387. 9 armor seeds, 3 weapon seeds, 1 enhance and pet at 387.
Accessible or forcing people on par. It's just about showing them why old school's cool earlier on.
That's it.
Yeah. And then they're like, oh, sweet, I'll stick with this because I'm progressing and I have choices.
Yeah. And then you pitched an awesome quest idea.
If you can make it through the CG grind though, guys, you can make it through the rest of the game. Unless you get incredibly spooned. But if you get like a normal 400, 300 to 400 like CG grind, you could do any grind in this game. I'm pretty convinced.
Absolutely think we should do at some point.
I think
I won't spoil it, You can talk about it if you
I'm
want.
already downloading New World.
barely
Damn,
remember it.
Triumphant is
I need
done,
to know
guys.
it.
It was
CG
so
got to him.
good. It was like basically it was like
He's out of this Gillenor
Duke's
shit.
assistant. So
New
you
World
level up
style.
from Cook's assistant. Now you're assisting the Duke, and you had to like outfit some guards. So you
Okay.
have to like give them some armor and some weapons, which like may require you to go to a shop or to do some smithing, and then you have
Yo, chat, should we get that as a point redemption? I'm out of this Gillenor shit. New World style. Can we get that as a point redemption?
to like show them how to kill a goblin and stuff like that. And it feels like a bona fide RuneScape early game quest. Like it's a sheep shearer, but crucially, you can slap requirements on that, and you can give combat XP for it. Like obviously everybody knows nowadays you go and do waterfall quests if you want to progress your account efficiently. But you know, what if there was a slightly less extreme version of that in Lumbridge, so that people who didn't know what they were doing were on a more level playing field to people who had, you know, this was their 7th account.
I remember it now.
Yeah, by the way, guys, we played Ashes of Creation. A lot of people are playing Ashes of Creation right now, but the point of Ashes of Creation is to level up your character, which you run out of quests by level 7, which means you can only group grind. So you're just group grinding, and you're fighting over grind spots with other people because there's not like enough good grind spots in the game. So then you're fighting over tags on mobs. The game is like choppy. It's either too bright or too dark a lot of the times. They need so much like basic work on the game still that it's kind of taken a lot of my hope away for the game. There's nothing more that I want than for Ashes of Creation to be good, but I'm just not convinced that it will be based on the progress that the devs have made in like a year and a half since the last time I played it. It literally feels like the exact same game. And I'm like, what's another year and a half going to do? Another nothing? And so I just kind of like, at this point, I've just kind of like chalked it up as being another Star Citizen that's never coming out. It's sad because I spent $500 on the game and I enjoy the game. I enjoy the combat. But when the point is to gear up your character, level up your character so that you can do PvP, like the end game is PvP. And then I watch some of the PvP and all it is lag, rubber banding, and really bad, like just like you can't even play your character because there's so much lag. And Steven is trying to say that the game is going to be able to support 500 versus 500. Like it's honestly, if I owned Ashes of Creation, I wouldn't even show people the game right now. Like I wouldn't even show people the game. And that's just how I feel about it. But I feel like he's trying to go for this thing where like they're using the testers, or they're letting people test so they can get more testers. But like the game is not even to a point I feel like where it needs to be tested yet. It's too buggy. Definitely, I just don't think it belongs on Steam right now. Unfortunately. And I am like one of these hopeful people, but man, it seems like the project is just too big and too far away, and it's taken all of my hope that I had for the game away, which is sad because like I'm looking forward to this game for 5-6 years now, and they're still 5-6 years away.
No, yeah, it was about.
Sad.
Obviously, there's a mine, and then there's like the bronze smithing furnace in Lumbridge as well.
Yeah.
They go mine in the swamp, go smith it there. Maybe there's the bronze anvil too.
Yeah.
And also breadcrumbing, because if you're assisting the Duke, then you're probably assisting the assistant of the Duke. Breadcrumbing like the ham quest storylines and stuff too.
Should I give the PvP a 10 out of 10? I think that a small scale PvP can be good, but when the game is built around mass PvP and the servers can't handle mass, what is the point? So they're either going to have to fix the lag and like the layering problems and people getting ported around. I mean, it is alpha 2, but server stability and lag should be like high prio so that you can actually have testing. Like you can't really even play the game right now. Like I watch Svan and Shobek fight over a caravan. The caravan is super buggy. The world PvP is you're just lagging. And you're not even really playing. So I don't know what they're going to be able to do about that.
I feel like there is some room there.
100%.
And I'm generally like a pretty positive person on this, but I just
I forgot about that.
I've lost a lot of my
I'm still
positivity
keen on
for
it.
the
I
game
think to
at its
myself, we should
current
do it in a
state.
game jam.
Here we go. Next game jam. Flesh it out.
I'm
Make it happen.
being harassed by other people to do other things, and I also have as an engine thing that I kind
The
of
grass isn't always greener on the other side, right?
No, I know.
You know,
So, if you were not designing, developing games, what do you think you'd be doing, like as a career? Swinging swords, smithing swords?
I don't think those
Smithing swords.
Well, I'd be lucky if I got to do.
Actually, a content creator, a blacksmith content creator would be kind of sick. You know what I mean? If you like had yourself in the forge actually pouring it up and you make like a short and you show the finished project, that would be a sick ass content creator. I'm sure there are guys like that, but that would be dope.
Those things. I think the earliest. So I have like a couple of memories of saying like I want to be this when I'm older.
Okay.
When I was like a teen.
Yeah.
Or like mid-teens. I always said I wanted to be an engineer because I thought it sounded sensible, made money, and you know I didn't mind physics. There's another moment later on where it's like the moment I finally realized I think I actually do just want to be a game designer, and there's a slightly later point in time where I go, not only do I think I want to do this, but actually I want to go all in on it, and I like want to, you know, not say like, oh, it'd be nice if I got to do this, but like really try and make it reality.
Sure.
Yeah, we got the
But
synapse.
the earliest memory I have is of getting off of a bus on the bridge, or like the stop beneath the bridge on
I'm glad he said off of the bus there, because he kind of paused after he said my earliest memory of getting off.
Caledonian Road, and my mother asking me, what do you want to be when you're older? And saying, I want to be a fireman.
Okay. Very cool.
That was it. I just
Fireman
obsessed
rights.
with firemen.
yeah.
Yeah. And I might get the chance soon.
Really?
Yeah, there's a fire brigade close to where I live, and apparently they're looking for reservists.
There are
So-
lots of them looking for on-call part-time
Yeah.
firemen.
Exactly. And so I've been thinking to myself, when things settle down, maybe I should. Okay, because I
Give it a
could
go.
fulfill two childhood dreams: making video
That is
games
insane.
and being a fireman. That would be so sick.
That's very cool. Yeah, I think you should. Earlier this year, I was looking into joining,
Oh yeah.
because the games industry is so dire generally at the moment. We're very lucky at Jagex. Like we're hiring, we're doing really well. And I was just feeling really pessimistic about everything. I was like, there are always going to be fires, right?
Yeah.
I could go and do that, but you need to prove you have GCSEs. And I'm like, where the hell are my GCSE certificates? I don't know where they are.
Oh, they're in
And
a
then-
folder in my drawer.
You got to, you still have them.
I
Okay,
still
cool.
have them. Yeah.
You got to contact like the
GCSE.
examination,
Yeah.
whichever board it was with. And I was
Right.
like, I don't know who they were with. And then you can send in queries. We're like, hey, I think I might have done some exams with you. Can you send me the qualification? And they cost like 50 quid each.
Do you know what? Actually, thinking about it now, so far into life, it would be a pain in the ass because I did mine.
It is.
I really
Tess?
got mine sent to me when I was like early 20s because I needed it for a job I was going into.
Is that
as
like the
well, similar
SAT?
situation. But like I still had my used to get like printed out versions that weren't the certificate, but it showed you what your grades were. and it
SAT,
told me
yeah,
what the
okay.
exam body was. So I just did that.
Okay.
And that helped. But yeah, I've kept them in a folder, in a binder, in plastic wallets since because I never want to have to go and get those again.
But assuming you have
Glor!
them, you should do it.
Eastside
That'd be
Goon,
cool.
what's good?
Unfortunately, that's kind of bad news for me because I went to a Spanish school in London,
okay.
and so I went through the Spanish system. So I don't have GCSEs. I have an equivalent. Hopefully, they'll take that.
Oh, I'm assuming
but-
I'll take that.
Yeah.
that's
Well,
what
I do
I'm
have the
doing.
equivalent stuff.
There you go.
Yeah. So hopefully it becomes a reality.
I want to ask a question because I would normally ask that question. I'm glad Sweetin asked it. 'cause
Sorry.
No, don't be sorry. It gives me the opportunity to ask this one now. And it's a bit of a weird one. Okay.
Okay.
But from all of your experience and knowledge,
Grats
and
king?
understanding
No,
of the
grats
fantasy
queen.
world, if you could choose a new life to live in a fantasy setting, what kind of life would that be? What would that look to you?
Okay. So not a setting, but a lifestyle.
Lifestyle, environment, like, do you want to go back to the medieval ages and be an
Right.
archer? Would you want to be a magician in a fantasy world of beings and whatever? I
Yeah.
don't know. What kind of,
I've-
what are you drawn to?
I've considered a lot of fantasy questions, but I don't think I've actually asked myself any like style of like what would I do? And my immediate gut reaction is some sort of blacksmith, hopefully a magical one. I'd like to
Okay.
make magical swords, weave magic into the hammering of the metal.
Okay.
That sounds kind of cool. And I won't go into it too much, but I have my own setting that I developed for like playing tabletop RPGs. And in that setting, it's sort of like post-apocalyptic, and there's a guild of blacksmiths, and because they're like relatively strong people, and there's a shortage of there's like an army, but they're pretty busy and they can't help regular people out. the Guild of Blacksmiths sort of becomes like a pseudo, not like a, well, it's kind of like a fire brigade, but it's basically like, oh, there's a wolf's den and we need it cleared out. It's like, right, well, call the blacksmiths.
Oh, so like a mercenary group.
Yeah, a little bit. And
How did we just fail a freaking...
The whole thing is like the way that you earn your title of like master blacksmith is by creating a weapon that's perfectly suited to you. And maybe I'd like to be part of a guild like that and work my way towards being a master blacksmith.
Modern Rice is so cool.
Very cool. Yeah.
Thank you.
What would
Eastside Goon, come party. Thank you guys for the subs.
Such a
How long is
tough
DSIM
question.
out for? I think it's another 2 weeks.
It depends on what I'm doing.
If you get the sub, you get a DSIM.
I want to slay monsters. I don't want to kill people if I have to.
Or tier
in this
1, I
fantasy
think tier
world,
1
then,
works.
you know.
Yeah, you won't be happy about it.
It is what it is.
Like
Yeah.
fighting people.
Yeah.
You know, you
Exactly.
don't like doing it.
I don't
but
like doing it.
You'll do it
but-
if you have to.
Yeah, but preferably I'm fighting monsters, which is lucky for me because I love swords, and swords are well suited to slaying big beasts. Now, if you're slaying a smaller beast, or, well, how do I put this? You're probably better off chucking spears at it. But if you can't do that for some reason, swords are a good bet because it has a big cutting ratio. So, you know, if you swing it, you're likely to hit something. It's likely to cut. So, yeah, I think I'd want some sort of sword because I just think swords are really cool.
I agree.
And, yeah, I probably want to do something two-handed and maybe with like a little curve. Maybe like not an actual like historical Nodachi, but like, yeah, a big, long, curved...
Chat, what's the coolest weapon that a person can wield in fantasy? Dragon claws, a flail, a battle axe, a katana. Katanas are sick. I think lightsaber. I think a dual wielded lightsaber is still my favorite. The Darth Maul lightsaber, probably still my favorite weapon in all of fantasy. But the Warglaives is a close second. Y'all know Illidan's Warglaives? These bad boys? Those are a close second. But dual wield lightsaber, probably my favorite.
Two-handed sword.
Like what the trolls wear in, is it one of the, it's called the general.
Not dual wield.
Troll stronghold in old school.
You know what I'm saying?
like a
Double
big curved
double bladed.
Oh, they do have codes, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they hold it in one hand though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
maybe
they're massive. You're not a troll, are you?
Yeah, maybe something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's just what I pictured in my head the first when you said it.
Yeah,
so.
that's cool. When I was doing this quest on my iron, I was like, oh, I wish we could afford those swords.
Yeah.
I too am like a big two-hand sword enjoyer. That's the way I'd go.
Something about
Giant sword like
Yeah, I mean,
Berserk.
I could
RPG I
imagine
play.
that with you. Like you well built.
Any RPG
Thunder
I
Fury is
play,
pretty sick
I'm
too.
like,
Yeah.
I could choose any fantasy
Literally,
race.
it's either going to be a great hammer or a great sword.
I'm a big white human with a big sword. That's,
Well, if you're in Ely sometime, you can come and hold mine, and I'll show you how to swing it.
hell yeah, man.
Oh.
Sign me up.
Yeah, cool.
I'm in.
Okay.
Go to Rice's house, show you how to swing your sword.
Yeah,
Do it.
Damn, this is getting
That's
this
not
is
gonna come
heating
at
up
any
this
comments
interview.
No.
from people listening back home.
No, not at all.
Yeah. Well, as soon as you've said it, I'll say, man, I'm so basic. I'd literally just be like Legolas.
yeah, that's pretty cool.
2 one-handed swords and a bow. That is my ultimate fantasy in terms of like weapon style, and that's what I always go to whenever I play any kind of game, unless there's not an option to, and I've got to be a wizard.
I like the two-handed sword. I did like dual wielding when
I
I
like
was
archers.
younger, but I like the two-handed sword because when I learnt about like the historical purposes of it, which are highly contentious, because it doesn't seem like it was actually used that much as compared to many other weapons. But one of the things it was used for was for like crowd control. So like being able to
are
swing
these
in a wide
dragon
arc,
claws
you're not
this guy
necessarily
has?
aiming to hit anybody. You're aiming to like keep people at bay, which might be as a crowded street and you're trying to block it, or you're trying to I don't know, the carriage has crashed and somebody's on the floor injured, and trying to keep the bandits away, until they recover themselves.
Pest control for Elite
actually,
Void.
even though it's like a big sort of
We're going to Doom.
swing and hit hard and kill, it's quite useful for
Defense.
defense.
Interesting.
Most things with good.
Chat, what else do I need for Doom besides Scobo and Elite Void? I already have a Gwish. I'll have a Chally because I'll have a Chally, full Masori and Tebow. You get a Chally when you do the Western. You get a Chally when you do Western hard or Western medium. What arrows you got? Dragon. I got 4,000 Dragon and 16,000 Rune. I'll probably use Rune to learn and then Dragon once I'm on farm. I don't know how to get a Dark Light. I have Blowpipe as well. I have that. You're going to burn 20k arrows in this grind. Once I finish all of my other AFK grinds, I think it is time that we start doing... Well, I was going to save mining for whenever OnlyFangs happens. And I was going to come back and be like 99 mining. I was just going to grind mining AFK. That's The mining, smithing, and fletching grind is probably going to take longer than the 93 crafting, which is going to suck.
Reach R. But, yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
I like the ask a story in the subreddit. And when you get people asking about weapons, and you have the person who's like, oh, well, I wrote.
Can you make your own dragon arrows? No, not even close.
I'm like, oh, cool. That's why I just scroll.
Yeah, it's awesome because they
We're
have such
200
good
hours
policy
away
because
from being able to do
They don't let
that.
anyone answer for the first day, so the post has to cook for a day, and then they heavily.
Wait, is it just fletching? Is it just fletching to make dragon arrows? If you have the tips already? Oh, it's only 90 fletching for arrows. Darts is the 95 one. Wait, we could get 90 fletching. I have a ridiculous amount of maples in miscellanea. Right now I have 20,000 maples. That's probably what I'm going to be using to level my fletching. Could be fletching at PC with broad arrows. I already made 40,000 broad arrows. I don't think I'm making any more of those. I think I'm doing veil totems only. Yeah, and all I need to do is get 86 fletching. Dragon arrow. I only have 730 arrow tips. I died? How are we failing pest control? What's even happening? Is the guy in the middle dying or something? So if I have like 20,000 maples, if we just did veil totems with that, Iron Man life, boys. Where's my banked XP? Let me see. I have 86 banked right now. 86 fletching banked, it says. That's just making maple longs. Veil totems might be more XP.
That are allowed. You have to like basically request to answer, and so you end up with like extremely high quality responses. It's great.
In today's day and age, it's great because the internet fucking
Use?
shit.
No,
Even sword
I have
conversation
300
is really
use.
tough because so it happened recently. I don't know if I should be talking about this, but conversation around the gilded rapier, whether it should be called an S-stock, whether it should be a fast weapon. I was talking to Husky about it, and he said some things, and I was like, "That's not true." And he's like, "Yeah, it is." Like,
I have a bunch of dragon
I went to
fruit
the
pies
Wikipedia page,
in the bank
and I look
already.
at, and it says it there. And there's a bunch of citations on the Wikipedia page, but every single thing that he said to me that is considered like truth by most gamers has a
So
citation.
we just need
needed.
86 fletching.
There's literally no source for it. The source is it works this way in video games.
Yeah, trust me, bro.
That's literally like, oh, well, in Dark Souls, this weapon is really
We need 91 for darts, though. 91 is for darts.
fast. And like, that's the source. And so,
But
yeah, it's
86
like,
for arrows.
It's really hard to figure out what actually happened back then. And so there's a lot of misinformation. I can't say I'm an ultimate authority. Maybe those things are true and I just don't know my shit. But it's very, very difficult to pin down the truth of things.
Do you ever let that get in the way of your designs?
No, I don't think so. I do think that old school RuneScape is better when it harkens back to medieval stuff, but it is medieval fantasy.
Yeah.
So it has to make some
I think a
concessions.
dash of reality, but not so much to the point where it just doesn't feel cool is a good balance.
Reality can be really cool, and when you draw on that, it's got like one of my
Your
favorite.
reality, maybe.
Oh man.
Well, I was just listening to him. You know, he's a very cool
yeah,
person,
okay, fair
and
enough.
I'm feeling like, okay, yeah, cool. I can build a cabin, but I don't know shit about
things
swords.
weren't so great a couple of weeks ago. I'm pretty happy right now, but it took an existential crisis and remembering I was going to die one day to like figure out like, oh, actually, I really want to make the most of life.
Maybe that's where I'm going wrong.
Yeah, you need to have more existential crises. I say that as a joke, but actually, legitimately, I do think every now and then, you know, I pick up my phone and check like YouTube and social media all the time to keep like myself distracted. And when this happened, because I was like, okay, I really need to like detoxify. I'm gonna just try and spend an hour doing nothing, stare out of a window. Obviously, my mind is raging at me because it wants to do something, so it starts looking for things to think about, and it finds the idea that at some point in the future, I will die, and by my belief system, that will be the end of things. It will be all of infinity will pass in a moment. And I became deeply terrified. It was like, and then I looked back at the past month of being like slightly sad and slightly angry, and I was like, God, do I really want to live this way? And so now I'm on my happy arc where everything's good. I don't know how we got onto this.
No, dude, right on.
I am going to try that genuinely.
Go
I'm
for
gonna
it.
sit and look outside my window for an hour next time.
See what happens.
Because sometimes I'll just sit and
Anybody
look at my
just
phone
looking
for an
outside
hour
their
and
window
feel
for an
even
hour?
more shit about life because of what's on social media.
Bro, this is what like old people used to do. They used to just sit on the porch. Y'all remember that? Do people still do that? First off, do you guys have porches? Y'all know what a porch is? Is a porch a term for Europeans? Balcony? Yeah, basically in the South, old people, they sit outside, they sit out front on their porch on their rocking chairs and they just like watch the cars go by, or if they're in the country, they just look out at the weather, the pasture. and they just sit there and talk. You go over to your neighbor's house, sit on the porch with them, and talk to them. It's a very Southern thing.
Yeah.
So maybe it is a good idea to just look outside.
You got to ask sometimes, like, how did I get here?
Do you know what? I think as humans, like we're literally our own worst enemy, aren't we?
Playing
There are so many
OSRS on my porch right now.
reminded me about this
Damn,
at the
so you're
weekend
getting
when we were together,
outside.
actually, in the sense of like, there are so many things that you want to do and you haven't done them, and the only person to blame is yourself, and you don't want to be that type of person. And I was thinking to myself, there are so many things that I want to do. There are so many things that I've started doing and then stopped doing for no reason or other that I should get back into and carry on. And then I spent like £2,000 on stuff for DIY stuff. So
Hell yeah.
yeah, it's damaging. I have a problem with that. I don't know if you guys are similar, but like I have a tendency to get really into something for like 2 months,
I definitely do.
and then I'll forget about it.
I'm video games especially. I'm like, guys, get this game.
Yeah.
And then you're like, all right. I think you've all learned now. You wait a week and be like, you still playing this?
Yeah.
Then I might get it.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
Well, that's actually a good. Yeah, you're right. I just stopped playing games.
I do that. I do that. I used to jump on board with new games like pretty quickly. And then I realized, wait, I don't need to do this. I can like let other people play the game first and see if they're still playing it, in a few weeks. And that's what I did with RuneScape. I told you guys this before, but I wasn't like, I kind of rolled my eyes when I saw WoW players playing RuneScape. I was like, okay, yeah, RuneScape, how long could that last? You know what I mean? I was like, yeah, we'll see how long they play for. A month later, Guzu was still playing. 2 weeks later, Savage was playing. A week later, Shobek was still playing. I saw Sony started to play, Annie started to play, and I'm like, what the hell is going on over there? I was like pissed. I was like, why aren't they quitting? What's wrong? There's no way that game is good. They should have quit by now. And my brain was like, the hell? I was like mad. I was like mad that they were still playing it. So I was like, now I have to go try it because you guys didn't quit yet. And then here we are 6 months later.
Apart from the ones that I know that you will play.
Yeah. I think it's why I value old school RuneScape so much, because it plays to the fact that I do really like long-term things. I like investing long-term. I mean, it's not to say that I fall for the occasional, like, oh, this is a really cool rabbit hole to go down, but I rarely end up spending money on it.
And I think the point of the weekend, the health and fitness I was getting at, wasn't I?
Yeah.
Which is pretty not cost, like you don't have to sink money into it.
Dude, health and fitness is the best thing you could obsess over if you're going to get really into something. It is the best thing for you, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing I've wanted to do for like the last year and a half now, but I don't know, the thought of sitting at my computer playing video games or sitting in the gym, I choose the video games every time, and I hate myself for it, but also I don't.
Fair play, man.
I can't break out that cycle.
It's tough.
Yeah. I need the window. That's what I need, the window.
I was going to say, part of me is like, so I've ever since having that experience, I was like, right, this is good, because not only...
I'm getting back into health and fitness, guys. I'm getting back in. I was sick for a few weeks. And to be honest, I never really got out of it. Like I still hit the gym 3 to 4 days a week. So that's kind of been the standard, but I haven't been dieting. I've been kind of coasting in the gym. I haven't been doing cardio. And now we're doing all of it. We're doing diet, cardio, and hitting the gym and sticking to it. So we're back.
Not only did I have the existential crisis and become happier, but I also started having like ideas for bosses. And I was like, God, they're just coming to me. And it's because
I did buy some bagels though, but not the ones that I like. I got the Dave's Killer Bread bagels that have like 13 grams of protein and like 27 gram whole grains or whatever. So we're going like pretty healthy with the bagels. I might actually get one in a minute.
my brain hates not having anything to do. So it just finds things to think about. And it's like magic. It's seriously crazy. And so I have this rule now that I don't.
Those are good. All right.
I don't do any of that stuff.
I haven't had one yet. Maybe we'll do a taste
I just
test
stare out
tonight.
a window. I've now I'm hoping to extend that to the evening for a window. So I think if I do it from let's say I do it from 6 to 8 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
and I say right, no video games, no social media, no any of that
Just
stuff.
the window.
What happens is my brain goes, what else can I do? And I will say, you are allowed to do the gym. And instantly, right, if I've got nothing to do, if I'm bored out of my mind, it's like, well, could go to the gym. All of a sudden.
Oh, it sounds so easy.
It does. But the hard bit is not doing anything. You really do just have to stare out of a window.
And not do anything.
I've been a long advocate for we need to be bored sometimes. Childhood, you were bored sometimes, and you thought of things to do. And
We don't get bored.
Yeah, you're right.
We don't get bored anymore. Did you guys realize that? And now we have a way more depressed and anxious society than we had 20 years ago. Like being bored actually contributed to better mental health in a way.
Actually, as a kid, I was so imaginative. The stuff that we would do when you didn't have the computer around, the computer came and
my first book when I was just running, and I don't listen to music, and it was just thinking.
So you wrote your first book whilst you were running?
Well, okay, I come up with the premise.
Oh, okay.
while
I was
running.
like imagining you running with pen and paper in hand, like sweating down, like.
Well, someone behind me, like, note this down.
Yeah.
It was just running is one of those things where you can just stop and then go home and then play games and stuff.
Yeah.
But you want to keep yourself going. I don't like to listen to music or anything while I run. I like to think instead. And that's where I do a lot of my thinking.
Yeah.
And more recently, if I'm doing any kind of like project planning or creative ideation for like campaigns.
Yeah, because when you think about it now, when you get bored, what do? Like people go and watch like shorts, or they go and watch YouTube. Like you pull out your phone. The first thing you do, the second that you get bored, is you pull out your phone and you start searching for something to not be bored anymore. And then instead of being bored, you're getting like, if you're watching YouTube shorts or something, or reels, now you're getting the fastest like dopamine. You're getting like so much dopamine per second. And so you go from like being bored to like the opposite of being bored. And I don't know if that's necessarily in a weird way, like it's like corrupting your brain to know that you should never be bored. And so you're always fishing for something. And then we're getting the fastest form of like dopamine just fed to us over and over and over. And it's got to be unhealthy, man. It's got to be unhealthy.
Paper as opposed to like keyboard and computer makes it easier for me. Helps. I find my mind goes in different places.
Is Twitch bad? Well, if you're watching like, a Joker stream or something, you're probably not getting that much dopamine. So I would say no. You know what I mean? I would say I'd say if you're watching like a stream like that, it's probably fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah. More
That
of my
makes a
own
lot of
imagination.
sense. Yeah. When I was clearing out my shed, I found all my old notebooks from previous jobs that I'd had. And I must have had 15 or 16 of them that are, this thick, all filled. And I worked in IT. I never used to use the computer for notes. And I think I was probably way better.
Actually, I would argue that people that watch Twitch have better mental health than people that watch like YouTube shorts all day. But I think everyone has better mental health than people that watch shorts all day or TikTok.
I don't know, so maybe there is a point
It
there.
happens. We regress sometimes.
I think I just need to grow up, to be honest. Yeah, maybe that's it.
Are there any questions we've asked our guests this? Any questions you'd like to ask us at all?
I mean, I asked you.
I watched
this
you
would
and
have been a
Showback
good
at the
time
same
to ask
time?
you about like how to cut.
That might be
healthily,
worse than shorts.
but I did that yesterday, and we had a little conversation.
Crack,
about
no, thank you for the
So my
prime.
Rice is trying to cut some weight at the moment, and told me that he's been waking up hungry and tired. And I said that's not good. Eat a bit more. And I think the right way to cut healthily is to just don't go too hard, and you don't want to be at the detriment of your own well-being.
Yeah.
So as soon as like it's okay to be hungry, that's fine. But when you're like fatigued all day long, don't do that. Eat a bit more.
I mean, I'm doing it for the first time, and just giving it a go to see how. Because
Bro, this guy needs the bulk, man. What is he talking about? Cut.
basically once I move into a new place, planning to hit the gym hard again. Because I did once upon a time. I did go to the gym very regularly, and I made good gains for what I was at the time. But it's crazy. I was talking to someone about this the other day. I didn't know about second puberty. And I was looking at myself the other day, and I thought, my arms are like the size they were when I was going to the gym regularly, and I was 18. This is unfair, right? It's unfair that like I'm now putting no effort in, and I got the same thing. So I'm kind of looking forward to like giving it a second go and seeing what it looked like now that my sort of natural body state is a little bit more, I don't know, corpulent.
Second puberty is a thing I've just
You've just learned about? Yeah,
Is that
apparently
the
it
thing?
hits you in your late 20s, and it's like a second growth spurt.
Oh,
We're in
still
our
be,
30s.
Oh, where you go from like, you go to like a dad bod kind of thing?
So
I
we've
must still be
wasted
waiting.
that, I'm afraid.
Is it more, or it's just late?
Okay.
But
Maybe
it could
late?
be. It could be late.
Because I still can't grow a full beard, so I was thinking that maybe that's just like I haven't finished puberty yet.
Yo, what up, Ivy?
You're maybe still waiting for your first.
Ivy, have you gone through your second puberty yet?
Maybe I am.
Could be you hit
Yeah.
50 and you just get both at the same time.
Yeah.
You become the Hulk.
Suddenly, yeah, that's it. Okay, we'll keep in touch.
Got
I'll
something
let
to
you
look
know.
forward to.
Hopefully, I'll know you in 50 years' time. Wait, sorry, 27 years' time.
Yeah,
17 years' time. Oh my God, 17 years. I'll be 50.
Don't like that.
That's
Don't
gross.
say that, please. Anyway, the existential crisis begins.
I transformed from skinny body into a bulky body at 28.
What do you guys like fantasy wise?
I do like seeing those. A lot of my my algorithm on what is it called? I don't know if it's YouTube or Instagram, is basically all calisthenics now. I'm very fascinated with people that are able to do crazy workouts with just body weight. And there's some people on there that show their transitions from like being a skinny person and like hitting the gym for like a year or two, and their transitions are just insane.
Outside of old school, because we were talking about books before the podcast started, but like, what's the general?
My favorite franchise is Discworld.
Oh, okay.
I like how
You ever rock climb? I love rock climbing.
Well, not high fantasy is the wrong word, because that implies like really complex.
I'm a 5'11" climber, but I don't really enjoy bouldering. And I'm also like, I would need to get on a regular schedule with a belay partner to really enjoy rock climbing, because I love traditional climbing. I'm about a 5'11" difficulty climber on the USA scale. And I love endurance climbs and high walls. So that's the type of climbing I like. But it's tough to like find a belay partner. None of my friends like to climb. So I would have to find a climbing partner and then get into that somehow.
Complex systems of magic and stuff, of which there are some. Pratchett was a very smart guy. Mm-hmm. But I like how fantastical it can be.
Do you have a sleeper build? I don't know what that is.
Whilst also really
What is
grounded.
that?
The fact that it follows like the everyday life. And that's also why I love old school RuneScape, because you have stories involving normal characters who just, washer ladies or druids washing and drying their robes, sort of normal mundane stuff.
Yeah.
And then you have dragons and big shit to go and kill and fight and crazy magic and stuff like that. That's what. And Discord is just funny.
Yeah.
I grew up reading and rereading Lord of the Rings all the time.
It's when you're buff
I played
but lean, so you look
in
small.
2005, my giant desk, giant PC, probably AFKing skills, talking and socializing a little bit, but reading. And I just
Guys, if
read
I take my
Lord of the
shirt off,
Rings,
nobody's
and
gonna be
I finish
impressed,
that, and
okay?
I'd probably reread Harry Potter, and I'd put that
I'll
down.
tell you that.
I'm into. I liked a lot. We were talking about this before we started the podcast. Star Wars novels. The Thrawn trilogy, my favorite.
347.
I just rotate through a cycle of the books I had, and then start again, and just finish it and start again. Also, read a lot. I also like.
I do not have abs, guys. Abs are hard to get.
You borrowed a book of mine. They're kind of basically like Bronze Age collapse, and I'm like really.
I've always had like insane shoulders though. My DNA has always been very good. I got good shoulders DNA, but my biceps are super hard. Like some of my friends never worked out, and they always had like better biceps than I did. And I was like, how the fuck? Like a lot of your physique and all that is very much how hard you work and what you eat and all that, but you can't. Even like the best bodybuilders said that you can't outwork genetics. It's just a thing, man. It's just like a thing. I think Jay Cutler said that. Genetics are crazy. Some people have natural abs. Like I never really had abs, even when I really tried to get them a few times. Even when I really tried to get abs, it's still tough to see them sometimes. It just is what it is. When I was really, really working out, I mean, this is when I was, this is like 2 years ago. That's when I was like, that's probably like average shape for me. So it's not like, I'm not like anything crazy, but I never had traps either. My traps are ass. My abs are hard to fill in. I have pretty good wide shoulders, but my biceps, like my arms don't really pop as much as I want them to. It's like, it's tough, bro. Did you have hair? No. Did not have hair. Why do you look like AI? Guys, that's not AI. That's just a picture on the phone. The day you start lifting is the day you are forever small. Damn, that's a sad way to look at it. It also doesn't help that like the most jacked people are always at the gym. So you're just, every time you go to the gym, you just always feel like you're never doing enough because you're just comparing yourself to that guy. You know what I mean? Anybody else feel like that? It's hard not to compare at the gym. But like that's where all the jacked people are.
Really fascinated by the fact that nearly bordering 3,000 years ago plus, there were like complex trade networks and people shipping receipts and like almost invoices of goods from Britain all the way down into Egypt, and it blew my mind. Like, we are just so.
That's where you go to check out other
but
men.
Still really far removed from that, but we're doing the same stuff we were doing.
Yeah.
Just in different
That's
ways.
not what I had in
That's
mind.
awesome. I just say I wouldn't have pinned you
I guess.
to have been such like a fantasy head, like way more so even than I think I would describe myself as. That's crazy. Like Discworld, Lord of the Rings.
Goblin says something funny quite the other day, which is like I think give off the aura of someone not perhaps have a brain or anything like that. And then occasionally I'll just say something and it reminds him like, oh wait, no, there is something behind this guy. And I'm fine with that. I'm not really. I think it makes people more comfortable.
It's my favorite archetype of people as like the people who like subvert your expectations, particularly that because I love because this is the thing I was saying earlier, old school RuneScape lets you be everything. I hate the trope of like, oh, if you're a nerd you have to be like skinny and frail, and if you're not skinny and frail then you have to hate. Like,
Yo, I've seen some jacked ass rune players on Behemoth. There's some guys that are like a little too jacked. You know what I mean? Like there's some people that love to work out that play RuneScape.
like fantasy stuff, and I don't believe that at all. My favorite kinds of people are like people who like do it all. They like subvert the trope, and it's like, no, not only am I gonna love, like, this is the thing that motivates me to want to
Kill
be
chompies?
like,
Now we're
bigger and
doing
stronger looking.
Elite
It's like,
Void into chompies. No breaks.
I love fantasy. And I love
6
the
hours
fantasy
of this
characters.
into
I just wanna
however
be
many
more
hours
like
of
them.
chompies we need
that's
for
my
300.
motivation.
Yeah.
It's not like the classical motivation.
We're just gonna get
for
it done, no
going
big
out
deal.
And
Just do it
working
until
out,
it's done.
but it is mine, and so I love those subversions of expectations. It's really cool. You're a cool guy, Sweet.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that.
You're a very cool guy. Very cool.
OSRS and
I love it
Gym
about
are so
Jagex is that I
similar.
feel like
Delayed
you can just be
gratification,
yourself.
dopamine.
Yeah.
They
It's one
are
of the things that
in
keeps
that
me
in that
here,
regard. You're right.
honestly, outside of all the other parts of working with the community and
Yeah.
making an awesome game, but it's just that everyone can be who they are and no one cares.
Yeah.
There's no judgment.
Are you hitting the gym, Ivy?
For myself, I'm kind of like torn between two different versions of fantasy, and one is less fantasy. Actually, was a thing, but I really like anything to do with like Norse, like Vikings, Northern mythology.
yeah.
If there's ever a show or a story about that, that's
Let's
what
go.
I would resonate with. And then in terms of like fantasy setting,
Chat, we're all gonna get ripped together. Who's in? One in the chat if you're down to get ripped with me. We all start today. We all start today, boys. Let's go. Let me see the ones. I need everybody with me on this. We might have to start posting gym photos or something in the Discord. We got to encourage each other here. All right? Who's typing 0? Stop that.
it's probably not as good as I remember it because I read it as a kid, but there's a book series called Del Toro Quest. And I believe the character in it is called like Leaf, something like that.
I've been
And that,
bulking for
like,
27
is
years.
the perfect embodiment of what
All right,
I
it's
think
time to
of
get-
as, like,
it's time
my
to cut.
ideal fantasy. It's this woodland, whimsical, hunter-gatherer survival.
Dude, sometimes I'm sitting on my phone at like 2, 3 in the morning and I'm watching these calisthenic videos and it's just pissing me off that I am a lazy POS. Even though I go to the gym 4 days a week and some days I run in between, I still hate myself for not being better. And I sometimes I'm like, should I go to the gym again right now? You know what I mean? Like that's the kind of motivation I get from my algorithm. And then David Goggins will come on and he'll be like, you are a bitch. And I'll be like, fuck, I got to go to the gym right now. You know?
Entwined with nature, and then all of the typical things you'd expect from fantasy, and slaying beasts, getting more powerful, getting new items that allow you
Calisthenics
to do
the best
new
kind of
things or
workout. I'm
explore
actually
new
gonna
areas, all that kind of stuff.
probably
So
get some kind
for
of
me,
body weight
games, for
program and start
example,
learning
I'm
it.
drawn to, like,
I gotta
think
get
in
the
D&D, my
muscle up
character would
back.
be a wood elf.
I used to be able to do muscle ups.
A wood elf archer, or maybe a wood elf. Ranger. I mean,
Yeah.
I've always just been kind of like that way inclined.
Where's the selfie section?
I'm
Dude,
really bad with reading.
I'm about to make
read
one.
Really any books apart from Harry Potter, Del Toro Quest. I've started listening to an audiobook now, but in terms of like films, Lord of the Rings definitely.
Might have to
is,
call
like,
it the
my
self-improvement
favorite
section or something.
in any series. And then any
The progress.
outside of fantasy though. Actually, this is one thing that's just reminded me. I really love the idea.
5K
of
farming
an
XP from
apocalypse.
99. Let's go.
Post-apocalyptic.
Totally.
Yeah,
I think
love
it's
the
just-
whole
sorry, go on.
steampunk survival, figuring out how the fuck you survive when there is nothing left.
Yeah.
And just seeing, like, in any movie where they can put together, like, the shelters and the food that they're scrounging and the items that they've made with makeshift parts, essentially Fallout, is just like, that to me, I'm just like, that.
Goggins is cringe. Guys, Goggins says the shit that I need to hear sometimes to get my ass out of bed and go move my body. So whatever you think, his style of motivation works for me. So it might not work for you, but every now and then I listen to him just like basically just calling you saying some shit that you need to hear, to motivate you.
That is what I want to see. And I would want to experience that in real life because I think I would thrive in it.
Okay. I think it's a super underexplored genre as well, because like I don't see many medieval post-apocalypses, and it's my favorite thing to explore in my settings. Like the main setting that I'm developing right now is literally like, what if there was a zombie apocalypse, but it was like medieval fantasy rather than modern...
The only one is it's crap. We've talked about it before. It's like it's got samurais and shit in it.
I want to say it's called Kingdom.
I think it was Kingdom.
Yeah,
but there's that. But no, you are so right. You are so right.
There's so many kinds of post-apocalypses.
I don't get motivated by getting shitted on. Guys, I'm like very much a self-deprecator. I like talk shit to myself to motivate myself. Like I say some pretty heinous shit to myself, and that gets me going. So it is what it is. I think it is more of a guy thing, to my knowledge. I don't know what girls say to themselves inside their head, but like, I definitely be talking some shit. There's a pretty funny YouTube short of this guy, and he's like talking to himself, and it's a difference between a guy working out in the gym and he's like talking crap to himself, and a girl of what she thinks, and she's like lifting, and she's like 2 sets of I don't need a man, 2 sets of you got this, 2 sets of you go girl, and the guy's like, yeah, 1 set of I'm insulting my entire bloodline, I look pathetic, I'll never be a man. Like he's just talking shit to himself, and the comparison was pretty good.
That could happen, and we've only scratched the surface.
Well, they're too busy worrying about fighting against Vikings.
That's a good one, JPC. You seen that one?
Kingdom,
what would Viking post-apocalypse look like?
I love that skit.
These chatted out Norse people, with.
JPC's got the sleeper build, guys. JPC is one of the he's pretty thick. JPC be hitting the gym.
Axes, chopping zombies to shreds, and it doesn't need to be zombies either. It could be something else.
Yeah. Well, I mean, are we just describing Game of Thrones at that point?
A little bit, yeah. Actually,
yeah, kind of.
To be fair,
talking about like subverting expectations, probably frame a show that feels like you're witnessing the apocalypse, but actually it's like the aftermath of like a Viking raid. And it's like there's no fantasy elements of it.
Girls are the opposite. Like, you're one badass bitch queen. That's what you'd be saying in your head.
That'd be cool.
2 sets of I'm a badass bitch.
In a medieval time,
and you're over there like doing
squats. It wouldn't be down to me much, I don't think. There's a lot of luck involved. Not to say, I'm not trying to scapegoat here. I'm not trying to like say like if I did get transported back, then it's not my fault if I die. But there's like, a lot of hygiene stuff that's just like out of your hands.
Yeah. That's the one thing they don't show you in the shows, is it? And shit.
Light Bubba doing 5 sets of I don't need her. Nice.
It's everywhere.
Getting a cut nowadays, not a problem. But when everything's covered in shit, that can turn into an infection. And an infection can turn into death in medieval times. So, yeah, it's your odds aren't good. I think my strategy would be, because first of all, they probably wouldn't understand me very well. So I'd need to like pretend to be like sort of, I guess like...
A lot of hand signals.
Yeah, I mean more like... I maybe need to pretend. What do they call it? Like I'd need to pretend to be like a savant. Like, oh, this guy can't talk, but he's really good at maths because my math level for And so I'd try like worm my way. I'd pretend to be dumb, but like be really good at this one thing, and then maybe worm my way into the service of someone like rich, so that I can like live and then be sort of like low key. I'm also thinking, how does my like physique compare to like a medieval person? Because they're mostly sort of malnourished and stuff. So maybe I could be like an athlete of some sort. If it was Greece, maybe I could like be a good athlete. Who knows? I've thought about it a little bit.
It sounds like you've thought about it a little bit. That's why I wanted to ask.
I've never thought of
this is the guy that's thought about that question. Cool. All right. Well, I won't ask any more questions about fantasy. It's probably a good time for us to consider wrapping up the podcast for now.
I think so, but I'd love to have you back. Maybe once we've announced a lot of the stuff to do with Raids 4, that'd be a really good time to do it. We can get into that.
So I'd love to be back. This was loads of fun. And I'd love to be able to talk more freely about Raids.
Sweet. Let's do it then.
I want to learn what you've learned through looking.
I'm gonna have to go on the RuneScape podcast, guys. This would be awesome.
Hopefully, I haven't forgotten that trick because that's.
I'm genuinely gonna try it. Not tonight. I've got plans for this evening, but tomorrow, I'm looking out that. Actually, I can't. I've got never mind. Friday, I'm looking out the window. Yeah. Too much time to even look out the window.
Stop, Ben. Look out the window.
Yeah, I know. Okay, well, thank you so much again for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure.
I've loved this,
Hopefully,
thank
yeah,
W
I've really
Mod
enjoyed
Rice.
it as well. Hopefully, those listening have enjoyed it too. If you have, let us know. And I guess until next time, we'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.
Hell yeah.